Good evening, all, and welcome to another session of ClearIAS classes.
Sir Radhakrishnan is back, perhaps, I believe.
Yeah,
Uh,
Radha back.
He's
I,
gone for a long time.
no,
That's correct.
I informed sir personally what happened.
Okay,
Thank
okay,
you.
okay.
Okay, thank you, sir, for asking. Now she's fine, sir. Thank you, sir.
Right, right. I was in touch with Radhakrishnan. We were badly missing him. Huh?
Yeah, definitely.
Yes, sir, I'm back now, sir, from 1st September.
He's back, much more stronger.
So because of him only, I arranged a new mic with microphone and all so that I could participate along. And then he left.
And now I'm hearing new voices, sir, today.
Yeah,
Yes,
you.
sir.
Many things have changed.
A lot of water has passed under the bridge.
Correct. We have a lot of active participants now.
Okay, sir.
So
And today class is also very bang on topic, sir. Intelligent elimination.
that's why you are back.
Not like that, sir.
He knows what to watch and what to ignore, in a sense.
Okay.
Sir. But somehow managed to revise, sir, in 2 to 3 days, some of the classes, sir.
Okay, good. So interesting. Let's wait for a few minutes for a few participants to join. I think meanwhile we can start. I mean, anyway, the first few slides will be intro. So while I go through the intro, others will join. Okay, so we're really happy to see you all guys with full energy, and that is needed for this session. Today's session is very special. I mean, every session is special, but the usual sessions will be more connected with knowledge. This is connected with techniques. Okay, so in that sense, this is very special. Techniques. You like techniques, correct? Or anybody
Yes.
in this who don't like techniques?
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, Vaibhavi. Yeah, we have all the active participants now together. We have Radhakrishnan, Vaibhavi, Jayan, many. I mean, we have a lot of aspirants, but I think the names which I mentioned are the most active, and we are happy that you all
So
are.
this session is going to be extremely competitive, I presume.
Will I get a chance?
Yeah, that's something to think upon.
Okay, let's see. So. Uh, as I mentioned, today's session is about intelligent elimination techniques. We have so far covered 12 classes, correct? So 12 classes we have covered, but none of these sessions were exclusively for intelligent elimination techniques. We discussed a few techniques as part of the classes while solving MCQs, but none of these classes were exclusively for intelligent elimination techniques. So this is the first class that will be solely for intelligent elimination techniques. Okay. We will be having future classes as well. I mean, we have total 30 classes, out of which we will be devoting a few more classes also to intelligent elimination techniques. Okay. And the term intelligent elimination techniques is a trademark of ClearIAS. I mean, this is a term which we use. There can be different other names, maybe intelligent guessing or any other name can be there based on the platform you are trying. But ClearIAS, I feel, is one platform which has consolidated a lot of techniques based on our own research, particularly my own research. I was the person who was mainly behind this technique. Okay, so I have consolidated many techniques, and such exhaustive list of techniques, I'm not sure whether that is available with any other platform. I will be sharing many techniques with you today. The remaining techniques we'll see in the coming classes. Okay. So this is part of our smart work approach towards ClearIAS. So everyone, the term smart work we usually use. Every platform might be using that, but still, you might not be clear what is smart work. So smart work is the special method of approach that will help you prepare smart. That's the definition. Okay. But whether such platforms or any platform actually help you prepare smart is another thing. Okay. If you are preparing smart, that should be a very highly efficient method with as I discussed in one of the classes, we have seen what is Pareto's method, right? Like just focusing on the 20% areas, you should be getting 80% result. 20% effort and 80% results, and that is smart work. And that's how we are also approaching. I mean, ClearIAS is very specific in that with the minimum effort, you should be getting maximum results. And that is smart work according to us. And intelligent elimination techniques is one part of that smart work approach. Okay. So this is the agenda for today. We'll be seeing whether you should be make random guesses in UPSC CSE, and we'll see what happens with respect to negative marking. With considering negative marking, should you attempt more or less, and what are the elimination tricks? These are known by different names. This can be known in some platforms called it MCQ Hacks. Another term used is intelligent guessing, elimination tricks. Different terms might be there, but what we call is ClearIAS intelligent elimination techniques, or in short form, IETs. And then we'll see what to do in the exam hall and what not to do in the exam hall. Tips to score more marks. The 3, 2, 1. Huh? Okay, just a minute. Okay, so we will also see the 3210E method that I have already discussed. I hope most of
you have.
So if that is already discussed, we will not be spending too much time on that, but still we'll brush it up so that certain things needs to be repeated multiple times, so that that goes exactly into your head. And we'll also see some of the last minute preparation strategies, what to study, what not to study, and certain most probable questions and topics. So that's the smart work approach as a whole, in not only in today's class, but we'll extend this session for the next few days as well. May not be tomorrow, but in the due course, in the 30-day duration, we will be again coming up with sessions on IET, and that will be that is what we'll be discussing in my class with respect to the IETs. Okay.
So may I say something here?
Yeah, sure, Jan.
So I just wanted to share that with respect to the 3 2s 1E, that technique. So I thought that provides us brilliant analytics, but I'm facing a problem that I'm not tagging those questions correctly. So perhaps what I think is 3 is actually 2E. I realized it because when the data came, so for example, I tagged 60 questions 3E, which really can't be the case. So then eventually what comes out is out of those 3, most of them are wrong. So perhaps I think I'm tagging them wrong. It's happening with me.
Why that is happening, Jayant? I mean, are you taking mock exams online or in the offline paper?
No, sir, online ClearIAS only. I did mocks earlier of some other institutes, but now I'm relying completely on the ClearIAS thing.
Okay, then you have an A4 size paper along with that, and then when you see a question paper, even though that is a if that is 3, you're what you are based on your explanation, what I understand is that even if that is a 1E question, but accidentally you are marking it as 3.
In that journey of solving the paper, I somehow sort of think that it's a 3 sort of thing or 2E, but perhaps it's a 0E sort of thing. That judging the question, that thing is not. Perhaps I'm going wrong somewhere over there.
Okay, but that's an interesting point, and it's good that you have realized that that for that you need practice. I mean, that can be corrected in the due course. I mean, we still have a lot of time, but interesting that now since you adopted that method, you have already found the mistakes. I mean, even identifying the questions whether that is 3 or 1E, or you might be 100%. You think that is 3, but still. There is some mistakes with respect to the elimination or identify.
Because in that, for example, when I say something is 3, that is not a passive exercise, right? I'm thinking over something. When I say it's a 3 question, I may have to prove it to myself why it's a 3 or 2E. So that's what I like. That's how, because then data is wrong, na? But then, what, like for example, in an article shared on your website, you have written like 3 should be around 30, 35, or 40. So,
usually
and on average, and 2E should be 35, so it comes to 70 total, somewhere around. But I think my data 3 was disproportionately high, so that's the case.
That can be the case. So you are misjudging certain questions, but that can be corrected in due course. I mean, in the coming days, you can, of course, when you practice more, when you do the same exercise again and again, you will get. The accuracy will improve, and your judging will also definitely will be much more accurate.
Okay.
So the 3-2 method is really helpful, sir. Even mocks, I'm getting it going good, sir. The 3-2. You're able to judge the questions which is 3-2A or me. Getting good, sir. This method which you shared on the class.
Thanks, Ramesh. I think inputs like this will be encouraging for other aspirants also. So they will also take the exercise much more seriously. I mean, the art of cracking UPSC CSE is actually very simple. If you have the right process, right method, it's actually very simple. If your process is correct, automatically your marks will increase, and you will see really high marks. Okay. But don't make it too complicated. It's very simple. Just adopt the simple strategies, and that will work like magic. Okay. And really happy that you have adopted those techniques, and of course you will see the results in the coming days. You will be seeing the results. So for new aspirants, I think most of you, even today also, we are getting a new registration. So that's why I am just spending some more time in the introduction part. For any of you are totally new to ClearIAS, this is how we usually conduct these sessions. We will be conducting an interactive sessions, two-way communications. Always very active kind of discussions will be happening. It will not be I will not be just dictating things. With the active participation, we will be moving ahead. Okay. And this is the profile of me. And I am the founder and director of ClearIAS on the platform which you are now attending this class. And I have written a few books which went well with respect to aspirants. Basically, I'm a teacher, also a trainer also. We will see what is the difference between teacher and trainer in the coming slides. So I myself consider, I love teaching. Okay, I love teaching and love training also. So the slight difference between these two. And about ClearIAS is one of the most popular platforms for UPSC test preparation, with more than 1 million aspirants visiting the platform. And these are the two books. I think most of the participants, because of the kind of marketing I do along with the classes, many of you have already bought it. If any of you haven't got it, they have.
So, but the good thing is that the books are brilliant. So even if you're marketing them, it's a good thing.
The Kindle version, I did it. It's literally good, sir.
Okay, great. Thanks a lot, Radhakrishnan Jain. Thanks. Really happy to hear it. So yeah, now this is again, you might be knowing, but I'm just skimming through these slides. Okay, nothing much to explain because you already know. Those who are, you are all aware with the philosophy of ClearIAS, and the philosophy of ClearIAS is not to burden you, to simplify your preparation, to help you prepare with the least effort. That's, I believe, the role of every platform should be, every coaching institute or any online learning platform should be, not to burden you, but to help you with the preparation. And that's what ClearIAS believes in. And we, for that, we do both knowledge and skills, and success is, but according to me, is 50% knowledge and 50% exam skills. And in the exam skill part, the strategies, techniques, and things like that comes in. And this is what I meant. I mean, most of you might be familiar with teachers. You might be familiar with different kind of teachers for history, geography, polity, etc. They might be subject experts, but they are actually teachers. Okay. But there can be trainers also. Trainers are people who will help you crack this exam. Train what based on the requirements of the UPSC. So in the case of ClearIAS, all the faculties are actually mix of both. I mean, when you attended the classes of economy or history or geography, they just not only teach the subject, but they also help you how to face UPSC with respect to that particular subject. So we mix it together, and a teacher in simple terms is someone who builds the knowledge, and trainer should be helping you build the exam skills as well. So I also consider myself as a mix of both. So if you're a beginner, you should be focusing to build your fundamentals first. But once you have covered the fundamentals, with just the knowledge, you might not be able to crack this exam. You might not be able to get good marks. For that, you need certain exam techniques. And that is the techniques which we focus today. Okay. And that is just basic. The basis of all those techniques will be common sense. So don't think that you have to learn something new, because I believe you all have that common sense with you. And with just that common sense, we'll be able to solve questions. We'll see it. And one assurance which I would like to give you is that this technique works. Okay. There are platforms. Every platform will be having certain agenda of their own. Okay. Certain platforms focus heavily on knowledge, particularly on current affairs. Okay. And it's their agenda to sell their study materials and things like that, or their courses or whatever it is. So they might be explaining that these techniques that won't work, or intelligent guessing that may not be working. You have to keep working hard, and there is nothing like smart work. They propagate the agenda of hard work or other materials, like they ask you to be bookworms and keep on studying. Okay. But one assurance which I want to give, based on my experience with UPSC, is that these techniques work. Okay. Common sense will work. Logic will work. So if that is working, these techniques will definitely work. And that's my experience as an aspirant who cleared UPSC Prelims 5 times in a row. So with that confidence, I'm telling you that these techniques will this has worked in the past and will definitely continue to work in the future as well. But there is a disclaimer. The disclaimer is that this will definitely work maybe on 80% cases or 90% cases. There can be a 10% cases or 10% questions. This may not be working as it intends, or as we say that. So that's the disclaimer. Okay. But 80% success with respect to the techniques itself is really good. Okay. So that's what I'm saying, that it may not work 100% time, but 80 or 90% time, these techniques will work. Okay. Just don't bother too much about the 10% questions that these techniques won't work, but just think of the 80% techniques. But this is definitely not a replacement of your knowledge. Your knowledge is definitely important. And this is something that will supplement your knowledge, and based on the lateral thinking and common sense and logic, you try to solve questions. So that's the case.
Sir, I have a doubt.
Yeah.
So, sorry to interrupt you. So, like these questions are mainly which could not be solved. We can solve it in the last one, so by applying the elimination technique, which we are not able to solve at all.
Yeah, like, you can. When you adopt the process of 3-2-1-0-E method, you can maybe the 3-2-1-0-E and those questions in the first round. If maybe with knowledge you try to solve the questions, and those questions probably on the 0-E questions, if there is no way to master it, or it can be applied on every 2-E question or 1-E question also as well, because then if you're stuck up with any particular statement or statement or any keyword or something like that, then try to apply the technique and try to solve it. Basically, if it is 3 question, that 3 means just by using the knowledge itself, you know the correct answer, correct? But the techniques will be useful for the questions where you eliminated only 2 options, or
2 and 1,
or you are not able to eliminate any of the options. Then use these techniques and try to solve it, because then only you will be able to mark a correct answer, correct?
Yes, sir.
So yeah, good that you asked that. And we have more than 40 intelligent elimination techniques. I mean by 40 techniques, these are techniques which I have marked it. I mean, based on my research, I have noted down almost 40 techniques, but out of that, 10 IETs are already published on ClearIAS.com platform. Okay, on the ClearIAS website, if you Google intelligent elimination techniques, you might have come across an article which explains 10 intelligent elimination techniques with examples. Examples means previous year UPSC questions. Okay. And many other techniques are implicitly or explicitly mentioned in ClearIAS Prelims test series. And in this class, we cover 20 IETs. Okay. But again, I would like to say to you is that we have given for all subscribers of ClearIAS Prelims test series a free video which covered 20 IETs. Okay. This today's class is an extension of that particular video, which we will be elaborating in the coming slides, and we will be taking that forward with more techniques in the coming classes. But just I want to tell you that if any of you are new to ClearIAS platform, 10 IETs are given for free in a written format, in a text format on ClearIAS.com. 20 IETs you will be getting as a video, a condensed video on the again on the ClearIAS platform, but that is provided for free for all subscribers of ClearIAS Prelims test series, and many of you might have already gone through that. If you have already gone through that, also sit in this class, because that will be a great revision. And these techniques, just like subjects that need further revision and further practice, then only that technique will be used. Okay, otherwise you might have learned some technique but you fail to apply in the actual exam. So techniques also needs revision, so that if you have already gone through the 20 IET video but still attend this class, you will be getting something additional in this class as well. And there are, again, as I told, even then there are more techniques. Even I also know many techniques, but I usually don't teach a lot of techniques. I mean, 20 techniques is more than enough for you to crack this exam. 10 itself is enough, but if you like and if you want me to discuss based on your feedback, based on your participation, if you need, we can of course discuss more IETs that can be done in the classes. We can also take more examples also, and the benefit of this is that I mean, why I am not including all techniques in one particular class is that this is something that I consider be really valuable, and that should not be given for free for everyone or something like that. Or maybe probably a few examples can be done like that, but this is something that will be giving a competitive edge to the serious aspirants who are really serious. Okay, so that if that goes out in the public, and if that is available in the public, then there is no point in discussing this, because there is no competitive edge. Everyone knows that. So this should be only circulated. What I believe is that this should be circulated only with a serious aspirant who take it seriously. And if you wish, after going through some of the techniques, if you feel you need much more discussion on the IETs, we'll definitely conduct more classes and we'll discuss much more techniques.
Yes, sir, it will be useful, sir. It will be really helpful, sir. Because of this, we are able to solve 10 to 15 questions correct, sir. In every mock test also, sir.
Good. Let's see. We'll take it forward, and the chance of getting maybe 20 to 25 questions extra correct, that is something that is the possibility of this, and means maybe a 50 plus marks also extra you will be getting. Okay, so that means a score of 80 can become 130. Okay, so that can happen depending on I mean your logic, your common sense, and your learning of the techniques. So this is the disclaimer, and which I would like to tell you. This is a disclaimer for not only today's class. Today's class we may not be able to cover all 20, maybe 10 or something we'll be touching today, and then we'll take it forward in the next class. This is the terms of attending this class. Okay, the class is that there is no guarantee from the side of ClearIAS that IETs will always work. Use of these techniques only on questions you are otherwise not able to solve using traditional knowledge. I mean, 3 questions you are already able to answer from knowledge itself. On other questions, if you are not able to find answer using traditional knowledge, you can apply the techniques and find answers. And second, test these techniques with previous year UPSC question papers and see if the IETs work for you. We have previous year question papers also on ClearIAS platform. You can, once you go through this class, go to previous year UPSC question papers, because if you go through mock exams, particularly with respect to mock exams of other institutes, okay, the questions are not set using the exact keywords or phrases used by UPSC. Okay, then you find very little application of IETs with respect to mock exams. But in actual UPSC, the application of the IETs is much more, because UPSC phrases questions in a different manner. And even with ClearIAS mock exams also, even though you find applications with respect to certain questions, but we also the application of IETs, even with ClearIAS test series, I would say that it will be something like 10 or 20% less than what you actually get in actual UPSC. And that's why I always say that even if you are scoring only 80 marks with respect to ClearIAS prelims test series, in actual UPSC prelims, there is high chance that you will be scoring 20 or 25 marks extra in actual UPSC, because you will be getting more questions where these techniques can be applied. Okay. Just to discourage aspirants to just not focus on techniques right from the start, we include the knowledge part also in the test series. So that's why we are saying that. But I am saying that in reality, when you go and attempt the actual UPSC, you will see more questions where these techniques can be applied. This case is that if why I am coming with this disclaimer is that when you attempt actual UPSC after 40-45 days, then if any question, if you mark it wrong, and don't come to me that, oh sir, this I tried to solve it using IETs, but that didn't work and I lost this marks due to negative marking. Don't come to me with that such statements. But if you get some 20-25 marks extra, always you can give credit to ClearIAS. I don't mind. Just like what you're doing now. That's okay.
The disclaimer is very important, sir.
Yeah, disclaimer is very important. Correct. Yeah.
Nowadays the generation is like that.
Yeah, please.
Sir, ideally, how much time should it take to complete one round of the question paper, sir? Because it's taking so much time for me. It's like in a test series, I'm able to complete the test in 1 hour or 1 hour 15 minutes. I'm able to complete the test itself. But in the actually UPSC prelims, it's taking so much time to complete first round itself.
That's correct, Uma. That's correct, Uma. And the first round usually takes more time, because we will be going through the first round. We'll be going through the whole 100 questions, and then we'll be marking like what is the 3E question, what is the 2E, and what is the 1E. So the first round usually may be taking something like 1 hour. Ideally, if you can finish it within 45 minutes, then it's well and fine. But in most cases, it will take around 1 hour. But the remaining rounds, you will not be going through all the questions. For example, in the first round, you will be going through 100 questions, but you will be marking only some 35 or 40 questions. We are 100% sure. But
Yes.
40 questions marking is done in the 45 minutes or 1 hour in the initial time itself. Then you will be focusing only the 2E questions. 2E questions maybe again 30 or 35 questions. So then that can be done in 20 or 30, maximum 20 minutes. Okay. Then 1E questions again some 20 minutes, and remaining 0E in the last time. Okay. But as you told, like in most, why you are getting more time in the mock exams and not in the actual UPSC? Because mock exams, aspirants take it much more lightly. They don't, because even if you are also knowing that even if you mark it wrong, that's okay. So you take a risk and mark answers
Yes.
in the mock exam without thinking too much. But in actual UPSC and seeing the exam hall pressure, tension, and marking in the OMR sheet, then the case is that you take much more time to mark even questions you are 100% sure. You don't want to make any silly mistakes there. So that takes some time. Again, the another thing is that even if you are doing an online mock exam, or if you are doing some exercise with respect to any pen and paper exams also, usually that the OMR marking is very rare. The aspirants will just, if you're using online platform, you will just click it, radio buttons, you will click it. Okay. But so that time needed for the OMR marking is not coming. So that is, if you count the time taken for marking 100 questions in OMR, that is actually something like 15-20 minutes. Okay. So that also needs to be added when you're practicing online mock exams. That's why I say that you take an A4 size paper and mark it 1E, 2E, 3E, etc. So that some time is accounted for that exercise also, and which can be equated to the time you take for bubbling in the OMR sheet.
Okay.
But the point raised by Uma is also very valid. I mean, that you should take care. The time, ideally, you should train yourself so that you finish the paper maybe 10 or 15 minutes before, even actually UPSC, I'm saying, if it's a 2-hour exam, try to finish it before 15 minutes before the actual time. So that needs much more practice. Okay, time is a big factor, and if you don't have if you are doing it in a very relaxed manner and taking too much time, at the end you will feel shocked. I mean, if you think that you will not be able to complete the paper, your brain gets stuck. You will be totally blank. Then you will not be able to solve questions even you are 100% sure. Okay, that will happen. So take extreme care to and practice solving questions at a high pace. So that needs much more efficiency, and that for that is the that can be achieved only with proper practice.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. Okay. Now let me. This is also something everybody knows. With respect to UPSC, just understand this. You will be seeing questions with statements and without statements. Certain questions will be direct, just question and options like ABCD, and there will be certain questions with options. I mean, with statements. The question can be one statement question, two statement question, three statement, four statement. It can be even 7 statements also. Okay. So, but the scope of application of intelligent techniques is much more with respect to the statement-based questions. Statement-based questions take more time to read and complete. I mean, but that they are the easiest ones to solve, because if you can eliminate 1 or 2 statements, you easily arrive at the right answer. Okay. Even though they take much more time to read and understand, what I'm saying is that don't be afraid of the statement-based questions. They are actually the easiest questions to solve when compared to the direct questions. So I'm not spending much time on this, and the type of questions as I've taught. And one thing is that most of the questions, the statement-based questions, particularly with respect to Prelims, is actually a true or false type. So what UPSC asks you to find is find the correct statement or find the wrong statement. They don't specifically ask you to find the wrong statement. They will mention that which of the statements are not correct. So the phrase will be which of the statements are correct or which of the statements are not correct. So it's very easy to solve such kind of questions. But if you are trusting just on your knowledge, what you need is a conceptual understanding. You need to know the concepts really well. That's the case, and as I told, that this is basically a true or false test, and so I'm not spending too much time on these slides. And this is what you need to crack UPSC. Smart thinking. If you have smart thinking, it's very easy to solve these questions. And even though this picture has a pencil, in actual UPSC you will be marking with a black ballpoint pen. Correct? Which color?
Sir, is it blue or black? I don't know, sir. My first attempt, sir.
Black. Okay. Carry a black ballpoint pen always with you. At least 2 black ballpoint pens you need. If any fault happens with one pen, you need you need an extra pen also.
Okay.
And this is another thing which I have mentioned in the previous discussions. The right answer of every question is there in the question paper itself. And that is the beauty of the Prelims. Okay, so there is nothing to be afraid. Even if you are not knowing the answer, that answer is definitely there in the question paper itself. It means that you won't get that advantage. But in Prelims, that is there. So all you need to do is to select that right answer and mark it on the OMR sheet. This is again a repetition of what I am saying, that knowledge is definitely you need. And let's look at some statistics before we go to the next slide. And before that, just let me ask you one thing, like how many in this group have already gone through the video of IET, the 3-hour video. We have a 3-hour video. How many of you, if any of you have gone through, you can either ping in the chat section or you can use the voice chat. Anything is fine.
Not yet, sir.
Not yet.
So I have gone through it.
I've gone through it, sir.
I saw it last November. It was shot in the September, I guess, before the prelims.
Correct.
But it didn't make much sense because I was out of the ecosystem to apply those techniques. So now they make much more sense, perhaps.
Great. Oh, so let me look at the chat also. Like, some of you have gone through and some of you haven't. But still, as I told, like even if you have gone through that, this will be a great revision for you. and probably if you have gone through that
But,
some 5 or 6 months.
Sir, after watching that video, literally is the best. After watching the IET video, I could get that 20 marks each, sir. In every mock, I got it, sir.
That's correct.
I could feel it.
And one more thing, for all participants who are attending this session, it's better if you have a notebook along with you. Okay, if you have a notebook or a paper it's also fine. If you can note down the techniques in a paper, and that is applicable in every class of ClearIAS. Okay, not only with respect to this class, but always carry a notebook, usually connecting with that particular subject. So, and if you're noting down the important points in that notebook or a paper, you will be much more involved in that class. Okay, you're involved since the voice option is there, but a much more higher level of involvement will happen if you have a notebook or a paper and note down the techniques which we discuss in the class. Then that if you're much more involved, the chance of that techniques to go directly inside your brain will also be higher. Okay, try to learn all the techniques in the class itself, or if it is a knowledge oriented class, try to learn whatever we are teaching directly in the class itself. For that, participate in the chat, participate in the voice option, and also carry a notebook and a pen so that, and note it down. Just remain passive will not help. Okay, do that. That is something which I wanted to tell you before going into the next slides. All of you running for notebooks now?
No, sir, already have it.
Okay, good. Great job. Okay. So this is the question. Okay. This is the question. I think most of the answers also have written in the slide, so there is no scope of asking, and also I'm not asking too much because it will take time. But this is the case, whether you should leave questions in actual UPSC CSE. When you attempt UPSC, whether you should leave questions. I think I have already told that in prelims, when I was an aspirant, usually my number of attempts I make in the exam is usually high. Always it will be 90 plus, 94, 95. That is the usual number of questions I usually attempt in prelims. And in one prelims, I was my preparation was actually very low because of the work I had with ClearIAS. I was not preparing really hard. And many other, every year we may not be preparing really well, right? Like in one year, when I attempted, my preparation was very, very low, totally out of context also. But what I did in that, and that prelims, I marked 100 questions. Okay, I had no option. I mean, I was not knowing answers of most of the questions, so I had only one option to mark it 100. In that year also, I cracked prelims. Okay, so what I wanted to tell you is that there is nothing wrong even if you increase the number of attempts to 100. High attempts is what I usually suggest. And if I count the number of attempts, as I told, in many years, I will mark above 90, 95 is the range. And in 1 year, I marked only 84 questions also. I was very sad after the exam because I thought that this is when compared to any of my previous attempts, that number was not matching the number usually I make. But still in that attempt also, I cracked. With 84 also, I was able to crack. But at that time, my accuracy was really high out of the 84. But usually my case is that my accuracy may not be that high. So I usually go for high attempts. So I will compensate the low accuracy with high attempts. But what I always suggest is that your aim target as an aspirant should be 70 questions correct. 70 questions correct, 30 wrong is fine. So the aim for high attempts. Okay, and with that, I have already told like what is my strategy, and this is, if you ask me what I recommend, and this is what I recommend. Okay, you can take it, you can leave it. There is nothing like fixed rule with respect to UPSC. But if your attempts are too low, like too low means if you are attempting only 50 questions or 60 questions or 70 questions, the chance that you get through the prelims is very low. Okay, so try to increase the attempts. You will see automatically your marks also improving. That is the main advice I have to give you all. And with that perspective, I would like to tell you is that if you leave a question unattempted, you now have no chance of getting that question correct. If you're leaving it, definitely no chance of getting correct. But if you attempt it, there is chance, at least 25% chance of getting that answer correct. And if you use the intelligent elimination techniques, that probability of getting an answer correct dramatically increases. I mean, that increases tremendously. And uh, I'm not saying that every question you will be able to answer using IETs correctly, but the number will increase, and that will definitely help you fetch more marks. And this is something, if any of you are not aware of 0E, 3210E method, this is that thing. And if without, I mean, if with the elimination of three, just a minute, let me take the pen. So if you eliminate three choices, then that's 100% chance of being correct. In that question, the chance of being correct is 100%. Two, if you eliminated two, that's a 50-50 case, and one choice means 33, and zero elimination means 20. Still, there is a 25% chance of being that question correct. Okay, so try to eliminate more wrong options. That's the case. If you're not able to find the right answer, try to do the elimination things. And with that perspective, let me take you this. Should you do random guess of 100 answers? I mean, we having covered all the basics, we will not be going for random guesses, but I'm just asking, like, should you make random guesses? Or if any question, if you're not knowing the answer,
Not at all.
Not at all. Yeah.
No.
It will become too much bad that negative marking can go very badly. Sir.
Correct.
If you do like that, sir.
That's correct. So, and the purpose of this session is also not to encourage random guessing. This is not a session to encourage guessing. Okay, we call it intelligent elimination techniques because there is some intelligence involved and there is some logic involved. There is common sense involved. That's why we call it intelligent guessing. Okay. So, and that is not some intelligent elimination. That's what the term we are using, and it's not something connected with the random guessing. We are not saying that you should be guessing random and marking it. Okay. I strongly discourage all aspirants against random guessing. Our focus, as always, is on smart and intelligent guessing. Okay, so what should be you doing in the exam hall? Having said that, you should not do random guess. What should you be? What should be your strategy? How should we adopt a question if you're not sure? What should be your method of practice? We already said that random is not fine. But instead of random, what are the chances if you just mark it, say C for all answers? Suppose you have something like 30 questions. If you are not knowing the answer, should you mark all those 30 questions A, B, C, D in random, or should you mark it something like using one letter C or B, 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 B?
One letter, probability will be 25%, right?
Yeah, probability if probability is 25, the case is that if everything has a 25% probability, in the end it's actually zero, right? Like,
Yes,
sir. Yeah.
Sir, even if you see the key also.
Any cursory look on the answer key would reveal this, that such technique is not going to work.
But UPSC has they have like A, they will not keep all the options like A, B. There's always mixed, sir. You cannot clear with only one option all the questions.
Okay,
they used to keep it in the low level.
If that is the case, if you are marking every question something like C or B or A or D, which is your favorite alphabet in ABC?
B, sir.
B. Transaction is B. For others, Vaibhavi, if you're marking, what will you go for?
Sir, A. First thing, I'll not do random guess, but another thing, if I want to, then I'll go with A.
Okay. A, I mean, if you're marking all questions using a same letter, that is not a random. That is something like a pattern. You're following a pattern. Okay. You're following adopting a pattern throughout the OMR sheet. And if that is the case, you're saying that you'll be using letter A. I mean, and the choice will be A. Any other thing? Tobin, what will you use, Tobin? Tobin will use BR.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Any other inputs from any of the participants? I need participation from other aspirants who are not using the voice. Jayan C. Okay. Any Supriya C. Okay. Anybody else? Bhavana C. Varune C. D, Anand D. Okay. So yeah, we have good.
If we have
response.
come to this juncture, then we should ready happily choose any a letter.
Yeah, but interesting. That I need you to think. That's why I do these kind of exercises. Yeah, 25% A, B, C, D is zero. That Itham Shivaram Chaudhary is saying that if we are, the A, B, C, D in the OMR sheet will be almost like 25% each. So if you even if you're doing this exercise, net result will be zero. So there is no scope of doing that. That's what Idam says. Now let's see like how it goes. So this is what I suggested. Like, what about marking all answer choice as C or B? This is not random guessing. This is a particular pattern. Okay, but I also say that this is a much better strategy than random guessing. In the random guessing, the problem is that if you do random guessing, like one question A and next question B, next question B, B, and something like that. What based on what you think at that moment, and if you're doing like a random guessing, the chance is that you will end up in negative marking is also high. I mean, you may not be even scoring zero. Your mark in prelims can be something like -10 or -20. Okay, you don't want that to happen, correct? So random, the chance of getting in a negative is high. But with respect to pattern guessing, like A, B, C, D, you may not be gaining anything. You may not be losing anything. Also, that's something is something like not attempting. Okay, if the probability for every question to be an answer in the OMR sheet is 25%. In some questions you will get it as correct, and some questions you will get it as wrong. So in net result will be zero. You will never fall into the negatives. That is the advantage of pattern guessing. Okay, but that is almost equal as not attempting. Correct. Even
Yes,
if you
sir.
not attempt, if you go to the UPSC prelims and not attempt, just give the OMR sheet back to the examiner and come back. Still you will be getting zero marks and not negative. But if you are underprepared and you do random guessing, your mark can be negative. But yeah, this is the
But
case.
then why to do, sir? But then why to do? If it is like no profit, no loss, then why to guess?
Yeah, correct. Then anyway, that's a point. Anyway, even without marking, also you will be getting only zero. But let's take anyway, you are spending 2 hours in the exam hall. Try to use that time and mark it all with the same pattern. That's an interesting thing to do.
Okay.
But the case
like, sorry for interrupting you, but sir, this is my first attempt, but I don't have like any minimum hour of sitting there, like nothing like that, no. Minimum hour to one person should sit for 1 hour, like that. Anything is there, like 1 hour.
They may not allow you to get out of the hall before 2 hours. Okay, once.
Oh, exactly.
Yeah, you can sleep in the exam hall, but you cannot get out.
I don't know. I thought we can.
Sir, otherwise, before the exam ends, you will come up with 2 more techniques saying that this year's exam had this application. Perhaps.
If you go out and take a loudspeaker and announce the question, so UPSC won't allow that. Once you are anyway, you have to sit for 2 hours. There is no compromise on.
I thought in 5 minutes, some people will give the answer paper and go.
That happens in our graduation in engineering. If we don't know the answer, we'll give the answer sheet and come back. But no, that won't happen in UPSC. Okay.
Okay.
So the case is that this is the case with respect to the answer choices. But what I'm saying is that my point is that if you are doing a pattern guessing, you will end up with 0 mark if the probability of every answer choice is 25%. Okay, but is that the case with the actual UPSC? That's something that is what we are looking now. Okay, so what is the probability of getting an answer choice correct if you mark all statements as C? Okay, if this is C, if you mark it from first question onwards, if you're starting marking 1C, 2C, 3C, 4C, 5C, and 6D. Okay, if you're marking something like that, our assumption before is that there is 25% chance of that being correct. But that is just an assumption. We are assuming that UPSC will divide A, B, C, D equally in the OMR sheet with respect to answers. But is that in reality, is that the case? What do you think? Is UPSC perfectly balanced with respect to answer choices?
No,
sir.
Yes,
It's
sir.
not
I
that.
have personally checked all the previous year answer keys.
So what is the I mean preferred choice of UPSC examiners? I mean those who set the question papers, do they have an affinity towards any of the
No,
ABCD? What do you think
no, sir. No.
No, sir.
as their preferred choice?
No, nothing like that.
Anyway, maximum a choice can come 20 or 20. It cannot cross more than that, sir.
Okay, let's look at some of the OMR sheets and then see do they have any particular affinity
So we
towards
has
it.
affectionate towards B.
Yeah, we think backwards. I mean, these are all part of your lateral learning. What I did for this is that I official UPSC keys are out, right? Like if you go to the
Yep.
UPSC website, you will be getting the official answer key. Just look at the official answer key and try to identify how many A's are there, how many B's are there. Count it, B, C, and D. I did that exercise for you guys, so you can save time. So I will see that in the next slide. That this is what I'm saying, that the probability is not always 25. Not always 25. It varies. Let's see, like which is the favorite alphabet. I mean, favorite choice, answer choice of UPSC. So in 2019, this is the last official key which is out. In that, which is the favorite number?
A.
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 Who in the chat mentioned A? It
Sir,
was
me.
who was Supriya.
No, sir, it's Vaibhavi.
Oh, Vaibhavi went with A, and Varun also with A. Okay.
Yeah, Varun
So
also A.
yeah, correct. So if you attempted 2019 and if you don't know any of the answers, and if you attempted A as your pattern, okay, the likelihood of you ending up in a positive mark is high. I mean, there will be more positive, correct? You won't be getting 0 mark, you will be end up in net positive marks with A. That was in the case in 2019, and D also more than 25. But if you mark B or C, you will end up in a negative. Are you getting my point?
Yes, sir.
Minimum, if it's an equal distribution, every answer choice should be 25, 25, 25. But in reality, last year, A had a much more preference with respect to UPSC, and it had 29 A's in the OMR sheet, and D had 26, but C only 21 and B only 24. So what should be your choice when you are doing random guessing for next year?
A.
Sir, but what if next year their choice, got changed?
Yeah, that's the case. That's the case. We cannot say with just 1 year. Okay, this is the case with 2019. So that is just 1 year case. Correct. The pattern can change next year. So let's don't blindly think that you should, if you are not knowing any answer, you should mark it as A. But let's analyze some more years and then try to see if there is a particular pattern with respect to UPSC that we can identify. And let's look at another random year. Okay. And before going that, this is with respect to paper 2. Paper 1, we have seen that A is the preferred alphabet or preferred answer choice. But with respect to B, I mean, GS paper 2, they have only 80 questions. Okay. Ideally, every answer choice should be 20, 20, 20, 20, correct? 80 equal distribution means 20, 20, 20. But with respect to CSAT paper, this is, I mean, the difference is much more, the gap is actually very much. B 30 and D 22, C 18. But in CSAT, even if you're not knowing, if you mark just 3, you will be gaining a lot of marks. I mean, every question you are not sure, just mark B. The difference is really high. But if you mark it as A, you will be ending up with minus 20 or something, 20 or 25, something like that. So my point is that there is, even now you have noticed the difference. Like in case of paper 1, A was the preferred choice, and with respect to paper 2, B was the preferred choice. Now let's look at for paper 1 and paper 2 in a few more years. Okay, what is the case in 2016? So the pattern totally changed in 2016. Okay, the trend was different. In that pattern, B was 29 and C was 28. Okay.
So they're maintaining an average of 20 odds. Even if you answer it, you will not clear the cutoff and also. Even if you answer all the choices, the same option. Yeah,
but the case is that here also the case is that it's B is actually 29 and C is 28. What my point is that can we do a pattern guessing? is there a pattern there in the OMR sheet? Like any preference to any particular number here? If that is the case, we can, I mean, that is the inference we can take out if based on the analysis. But are you able to identify any such pattern trends?
Not exactly.
B and D can be, I mean, for 2 years at least, for paper 2, B and D was a quite favorite alphabet, but only for 2 years.
The B is little bit like more involved. B is getting more. B is more like I also saw, sir, in 2017 also B was little bit higher.
Okay. Usually when I analyzed multiple years of papers, I have seen that I mean, as Radhakrishnan said, B and C had much more weightage, but we cannot generalize that because in 2019 we have initially seen that A had a 29 was the weightage of A. So the purpose of this session is not to do the pattern guessing also. My intention is to help you with intelligent guessing. I'm just explaining, before that I'm just trying to explain the pattern guessing. But this is also not something that I suggest. Okay, this is the last choice. If you don't have any other thing to do, no intelligent elimination techniques working, then you can do a pattern. In the pattern guessing, there is no intelligence involved. You are just following based on previous trends. What is the favorite answer choice? Then you are marking. There is no intelligence involved. I'm just helping you understand that if you're getting some advices from anybody, that if you are not knowing answers, just mark B or C or D or A. Don't blindly follow their advices because the pattern varies year to year. That you have already seen, correct? Jan, you got getting my point?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, good.
Yes,
So
sir.
don't blindly have some love towards any particular option, because that can vary year to year. What I advise is that just apply the logic and common sense. Just do only IETs. Okay, this is not IET. This is something different. This is the last choice to follow one particular pattern that we'll see it. So this is the inference of this exercise we have so far done. Even with pattern guessing, that you may not be getting a net positive score. Okay, because the paper is not 100% balanced. If the paper is 100% balanced, you'll be at least getting 0. But since the paper is not 100% balanced, and if you're marking every question as A, and if UPSC has a much more affinity towards C or B or D in that particular year, you will be ending up again in a negative. So what we need is actually not the random guessing, not the pattern guessing. What we need is an intelligent elimination technique. Okay, the word is intelligent elimination technique, and that is much more reliable. That is what we'll be discussing in this class. This is an intro. So this is what we'll be dealing, intelligent elimination techniques. But only with that intro, we'll be able to understand this. That's why I took time to explain that. And this is intelligent elimination techniques is today's class, and that is based on the trends in previous year questions. A lot of research has been done. I mean, personally by me and our team with respect to this, and that's how this the technique is compiled. And it usually it's dependent on the trends in previous year question papers, also the psychology of the question setters. And the statistics and the different experimentation by myself, and also with the feedback of consistent toppers. Okay, not every topper is a consistent topper with respect to UPSC. Certain toppers make it into the rank list in 1 year, but next year if they attempt prelims, they may not be able to clear prelims. Okay, so but consistency has something to do with the processes they adopt, their right technique strategies. It's only then they will be able to consistently perform. Okay, so when I interacted with many toppers who are consistent with respect to UPSC and collected feedback, what is working with them and what is not working. So these are the basis of the elimination techniques, and let's straight away go to the first IET. We'll now itself time is 7 p.m. I shall try to wind it up by 8 itself today. Will not be extending too much, but let's see how this session goes. If we have time, we'll try to do 20 techniques today. Otherwise, we'll take to next day. Okay, 10 one day should be fine for you, because you have to learn it really well. All techniques you have to learn it really well. So maybe 10 today and 10 next day. That should be fine. And if you are interested, we can extend beyond 20 in the coming sessions. So this is the first IET. It's very easy. You can note it down also. Apply common sense. And that is the first IET. But just using logic and common sense, we can eliminate many wrong options and arrive at the correct answer choice. That's the first technique. But the problem with this technique is that common sense is not common. So that's the hard part. So if you have common sense, you can solve questions and find the answers. Okay, that's the first technique. And this is the basis of most of the techniques as well. But that's why I put it as the first technique. Let's take a previous year UPSC question paper, a question, and then try to solve using just common sense. Okay. This is a question. I think some of the questions we have discussed with respect to certain other subject classes.
Yes,
And this is a question which I have discussed already, but this is a question that can be solved using common sense also. So we can start finding the answers and typing in the chat section. And once you solve, you can of course solve using knowledge, but try to solve using common sense also. You can use the chat section, and if you're able to find the answer, mention it in the chat. Which of the following reflects the most appropriate relationship between law and liberty? If there are more laws, there is less liberty. If there are no laws, there is no liberty. If there is liberty, laws have to be made by the people. If laws are changed too often, liberty is in danger.
So option B.
What is the common sense behind that, Radhakrishnan?
So like it's basic. Yes, the liberties we get, or we can do anything. So there is no laws. So then how can expect liberties? So, like exactly, it's reciprocate. I use my common sense for this. I did that. I use my common sense for this.
If there are no laws, what will happen?
Then you cannot expect any liberties. People will be doing everything. They will be doing on their own. No one will have any control, sir.
Yeah, that's correct. That's correct.
Everyone will act on their own.
Yeah, Jen, do you have something to add? Jen, do you have something to add? Okay. Anybody have something to say here? Okay, that's it. I think Radhakrishnan explained it really well. That's the case. Just using common sense, we can see it. But initially, we may see that we may be confused between A and B. We may think that if there are more laws, there is less liberty. We may initially think like that. If you're a beginner, you're likely to think that. But when you look at option B, if there are no laws, there is no liberty. That's the case, correct? Like even in this, I have explained when I discussed the polity concepts class, I have already explained that even with a small group, like the discussion which we are happening now, if there is no rules in the discussion room, everybody will be talking simultaneously, or anything can happen. I mean, there can be video can be turned on, creating distractions, or parallel noises can come out, and we have certain rules even for our class, and that's why you all having that liberty, that space you are getting, correct? So that's just common sense, and that's the case. Because this is not something to answer this question, we don't have to be an expert with respect to Indian polity, or you don't have to read Indian polity by Lakshmikant. And even if you read Lakshmikant, you may not be able to answer this also. This needs just common sense, correct?
So may I make a comment here?
Yeah, sure, Jen, please.
So we could also answer this question by asking ourselves another question: that why do we need laws, or what's like? Because when we lead through this question, it becomes amply clear that no laws and then there's no liberty.
Yeah, this will be my approach also for this question. Same.
Correct. And in the first session of the Prelims Marks Booster, we have discussed the importance of laws. I mean, I have explained the case of 2019 and how many questions were connected with the different acts enacted by Parliament. And that's the case because everything in UPSC or Indian polity is connected with laws. Laws are something, I mean, when we define three organs of the state, executive, legislature, or judiciary, we say that legislature is the organ that makes laws, and executive is the organ that implements laws, and judiciary is the one which interprets law. So everything is connected. I mean, all the three organs are connected with laws, and laws are actually very important topic with respect to UPSC, and that's why such a question also here, and everybody Now, you know the answer. I mean, we all marked the answer correct, and the answer is B. B is the correct answer.
So because of the laws, only within the framework we are doing able to do. Anyway, they are restricting, but we are able to do things liberally, sir. There's no inner restriction like that, sir. But there are certain restrictions according to fundamental rights and all. But anyway, sir.
Correct. And I have a quote here, and this quote is from John Locke, who said, "Where there is no law, there is no freedom." Okay. With that, I think finished first IET. Now let's move to the second technique. Okay. First technique is just applying the common sense. Okay. And before discussing the 20 techniques, how many techniques you all know? I mean, you might be knowing one technique. I mean, the technique which we have applied in some of the classes, like eliminate extreme statements. That is something everybody knows, correct? Nowadays, everybody knows that. And when I was an aspirant, nobody was even knowing that. But now, because of the popularity of the YouTube channels and social media, everybody knows that at least one technique everybody knows is that eliminate extreme statements. But apart from that, how many techniques?
Usually number statements and all we discuss in class also, sir. The statement which involve
numerical
numbers,
values.
Numerical values.
So you have already know two techniques. One is be cautious with statements having numerical values that can be wrong, and extreme statements. So you have two techniques already, correct? Do you know any other technique?
Suddenly, IR class, we learned a lot of techniques there. For example, when in a statement, for example, any conference takes place, and there are more than 3 organizations associated with that. For example, some conference takes place, and it's written that it's organized by ADB, World Bank, and Europe or Eurozone or something. So we have to be cautious over there, perhaps.
Okay, good. Any other technique?
So usually ministries and committees that are all might be sometimes wrong, sir. Usually ministry under the ministry of that that might be sometimes wrong, sir. We should be careful in that.
Okay. Anything else? I think 3, 4 techniques you will be knowing, and the most widely used technique is the option to eliminate. I think the statements with numbers and the extreme statements.
So there's another one very famous that with respect to questions in science, all the above are correct. A lot of times, like drone technology and remote sensing. Although it's wrong, but yeah.
Also, I would like to add, since you talked that there are similar. I mean, when I discussed in one of my classes, we have seen something connected with the speculations, and we have seen what is knowledge, understanding. Correct? Like, what was the last slide?
Wisdom. Yes, sir. There was a why.
Wisdom. Correct. There will be conspiracy theories as well. Correct. So there will be many conspiracy theories connected with intelligent guessing also by different platforms. I mean, I just thought about that when Jen said about the science and technology and all the above. But certain things, I mean, these may be conspiracy theories also. It may not be accurately true. To find whether that's such a technique, if you see, come across any technique and by any platforms, okay, just make sure that is correct. The only way you have to find whether that technique really applies is to go through previous year question papers and see whether such a trend really exists. Okay, there can be certain trends, but see if that is a repeating trend with respect to many years. That's why I explained in the first slide itself, when we are discussing the pattern guessing, we just don't relied on just 1 year. We went through many years, and that's why I said that is not something that we can totally rely upon. Okay, similar to this, the one which Jan just said, like science and technology, all the above. Just see if that is the case with previous years, and then only if that is working there, then you can take it as a technique. Okay, otherwise don't take it. That is based on the trends. Okay, there is nothing like logic there, but based on the trends we are taking that. And another thing which I would like to tell you is that the technique is actually a way of thinking. This is based on common sense, logic, etc. So if you have that kind of way of thinking, that is what I tried to give you as part of the initial classes. Okay, I didn't teach you any technique directly, but try to help you develop that way of thinking. That if that way of thinking is already developed, the application of techniques automatically happens. That will automatically happen. So and you also you can find or discover techniques based on the trends in previous year question papers. Okay, once you are in that mentality, you can also try to find clues from previous year question papers and formulate your own techniques. Okay, these are some techniques which I formulated, but you also can take time to find your own techniques, and that will be really useful. Okay, with that
Sir,
note, yeah.
sir, I would like to add one. Like in many a questions, there are possibilities that out of 4 options, two or out of 4 sentences, 2 sentences will be quite similar to each other, hardly having any difference in one or two words. So the
So
answer
like the
50
question
50
on
chances
Kulliv
will
this
be
year, 2020.
50-50 chances will be of those similar options, similar sentences.
Correct. That will be seen. That you're right, Papi. That will be seen definitely. Yeah, you're right. Thanks for that point. And now let's go to the IET2. IET2 is also very much simple. It's to find clues in the question. That's the technique number 2. First was to use common sense. Second is to find clues in the question. And this is the technique all about. In some questions, careful observation can help you find hints. Look for hints in the question keywords. It's very simple. Okay, let's take an example and see if you are able to solve it. This is the question on INDARC, a question asked in 2015. Okay, this is the question. The term INDARC, sometimes seen in news, is the name of an indigenously developed radar system inducted into Indian defense, India's satellite to provide services to countries of the Indian Ocean Rim, a scientific establishment set up by India in Antarctic region, India's underwater observatory to scientifically study the Arctic region. And what is the technique? Technique is to find clues in the question. So look at the question. This is the question. The term INDARC, sometimes seen in news, is the name of. So this is the question. Okay. Try to find if there are any clues in the question itself, and tell me what are the clues.
Arc. IND for India, ARC for either Arctic or Antarctic, if we don't know.
That's correct. That's correct.
Arctic.
The clues in the
C
question.
and D are really close here. Both are polar regions, extremes.
Yeah, C and D.
That's correct. But let's see it. IND and ARC.
ARC is Arctic.
ARC is Arctic. That's the clue. ARC is Arctic, and IND stands for India. IND stands for India. It's very easy. Okay, just using the clues from the same question. Even if you are not knowing anything about INDARC, just using the keywords or just the clues of the question. That's what I'm using. Just the clues of the question. IND and ARC. Antarctic also has an Arctic, but that if that is the case, the term will be IND and or something like that. Okay, they are not using ANTA here. They are using ARC. Okay, so which option has more likely to be correct here?
D. Delhi.
D.
Delhi.
It's like same. It's like word play. We're exactly playing with the word. We are finding the answer from the word itself. So.
Correct. So, and also you can look at the other options also and see whether that makes any sense. First is an indigenously developed radar system inducted into Indian defense. Okay. So B is an India satellite to provide services to countries of the Indian Ocean Rim. And C is a scientific establishment set up by India in the Antarctic region. And D is an India's underwater observatory to scientifically study the Arctic region. So looking at the options and looking at the clues in the question, it's almost obvious that the answer is D. Correct. The other statements are not creating any connection with the term. Clear?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Sir, I think in previous one, some near question there also came like Hindi about with that we could easily derive the answer, sir. Like Garima something one I forgot it, sir. One question was there, but it was like exactly Hindi translation, sir.
That's another. Another technique altogether. When Radhakrishnan mentioned, I'm just saying that if you are looking at the English paper in UPSC question paper, you will be knowing. If you're going for the first time, you may not be knowing. But what happens in the UPSC Prelims question paper is that on one side English version of that question will be printed, and the next side Hindi version will be printed. Okay, so on questions, if you have no clue with all the techniques applied, just look at the Hindi version also. If you are not able to find I'm using the English version, just have a look at the Hindi also. That is much more applicable with respect to mains. For example, in mains, if you are unable to find the meaning of a particular term in essay or something, or in even GS also, if anything is, I mean, hardly phrased, difficult to understand, comprehend, then look at the Hindi version also. So it will give you some clues as well. Okay.
So this
And
happened in the ethics paper. So they asked to define the meaning of the word fortitude, and in Hindi it was very easy to define, like to know if somebody didn't know what fortitude was. The Hindi translation was really easy.
correct, correct, correct. So that is something that can be adopted. That will help. And particularly in CSAT paper also, CSAT there is a comprehension paper, and this actually gives an advantage to those from the Hindi background. But if you look at the comprehension part in the English comprehension or anything, if that is too much difficult, then you can look at the Hindi. But don't take too much time reading. You're doing double work. I mean, you are initially going through the English and then you're going through Hindi. It's actually double work, but don't take too much time. But if you're not able to solve it otherwise and you have still time, then have a look at the Hindi and see if there are any clues there.
But sir, Hindi is also comparatively very difficult. It's not that easy also.
At
Because
times
the
it's
word
literal
they use
translation.
is very, very difficult translation. English
It may
is
not
much
be
easy.
may not be a, I mean, the translation, there were in previous year many complaints also as well regarding the
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
was not that accurate.
Yeah.
So, but still, this is another strategy that can be adopted. And then another thing which I would like to add is that if you're a first timer with respect to UPSC prelims or mains, particularly with respect to prelims, okay, you will be confused seeing the English version and Hindi version. On one side, you will see the English version, next slide, or Hindi version. And I'm just giving a practical tip, nothing connected with the IET. The case is that if you feel confused and try to solve just the same thing, same kind of question will be there in the English and Hindi. What I used to do as an aspirant is that I will cancel out the Hindi version. Being from South India, I found, that is something that I rarely looked at the Hindi version except for the questions which I just mentioned. So what I usually should do is that using a pencil, I usually cancel out the Hindi version on the question paper. Then my sole focus will be on the English part of the question paper. So I can remain much more focused. That's what I just want to tell you, that this is something which I adopted. And if you find an application, this applies in your case, you can apply it. The only case is that don't be confused and waste time on the actual UPSC prelims. Okay, or your focus should be only on areas that matters. That's my point. Okay, now let me tell you, connect with the IET 3. Okay, the third technique is that connect with the pre-existing knowledge base. This is something also very much relevant. I mean, most of the questions need some knowledge, but may not be the knowledge that you gain by learning the standard reference textbooks, but a knowledge that might be with you even before that. But try to connect that with pre-existing knowledge base and try to solve it. Okay, that's the third technique. You may be able to arrive at the right answers with what you already know without any in-depth study. That's the third technique. Okay, let's take an example and then try to find it. You can note it down. I mean, this is the technique, connect with pre-existing knowledge base. This is the question with respect to Swatantra Party. 2018. Okay, consider the following statements. In the first Lok Sabha, the single largest party in the opposition was the Swatantra Party. In the first Lok Sabha, a leader of opposition was recognized for the first time in 1969. In the Lok Sabha, if a party does not have a minimum 75 members, its leader cannot be recognized as the leader of opposition. Which of the statements given above is or are correct? So, you may not be knowing the answer. Also, this is not something exact. I mean, every statement is not something that you study with respect to Indian polity. But this has some connection with the current affairs also. Correct. Because the since the NDA government came into rule in 2014, at that time itself, the opposition was not having the significant majority to have a leader of opposition. Correct. But that was a that was in news in 2014. Correct. But UPSC formulated a question based on that thing in 2018. 4 years after that, they came with a question. Okay. That's why I always say that with respect to current affairs, don't just stick to last 1 year current affairs. The span of current affairs is actually much higher. This is one example of that, but let's focus on the technique. Technique is to solve using the pre-existing knowledge. What is the pre-existing knowledge you have? Do you have any pre-existing knowledge with either the Swatantra party or with respect to the
Yes. Sir, I think, sir, in the first Lok Sabha, I think, sir, it is, I think opposition was not Swatantra party, it was Communist party, I think so, sir. Largest party of opposition. So I think it is wrong, sir.
That is also a pre-existing knowledge. Good. Anything else?
The first and second is quite far-reaching statements of the study scope, but third we can easily have the pre-existing knowledge, and that's why third, we know that third is definitely wrong. Then remaining option is only B.
That's a good point, Vaishnavi. There are multiple scope of IETs. I mean, we have different IETs, and this question has the scope of applying multiple IETs. Okay, different IETs can be applied in this. I shall try to explain some of the IETs, but your answers in most of the cases, let me look at the chat also there, and most of you are coming up with the right answer, because this question you might be knowing, but let me explain you some of the IETs. Okay, one thing which I have noticed in sorry, in my previous classes also, we have seen this in many UPSC questions, statement based questions. You see that one statement is contradicting the other. Correct? Usually,
yes, sir.
In many questions, we have seen that one statement may contradict the next statement. So that itself is the biggest clue. Then you should be knowing that only one of that can be usually the answer. Okay, if two statements are contradicting in any sense, may not be direct contradiction, but indirectly also, if there is any contradiction, maybe there will be only one of them that can be correct. That is something that we have seen it. So which are the contradicting statements?
So 1 and 2.
1 and 2.
1 and 2 are slightly, I mean, not slightly,
Yes.
but directly.
If there was a party, then why it took like 19 years to
1969.
designate them officially?
Correct. Now let's that is something that is the biggest clue. Now let's look at try to approach this question from your pre-existing knowledge base. That is the IET. Okay, what is the term of the first Lok Sabha?
So 51
to 56.
When did India became independent?
47.
47.
But did we have a Lok Sabha at that time, 1947?
No, sir, no, because the election.
The assembly worked as
1950, right?
Parliament.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, election was not held at that time. Like 1947, there was no election. Correct. So 1947, Indian government came into existence. Jawaharlal Nehru was the first prime minister. But was there any constitution at that time also?
It was adopted. Like officially, it came into adopted on 49.
49, correct. So to elections are the provisions of elections that is mentioned in the constitution, correct? So we don't even have we didn't have a constitution at 1947, and the provisions of election commission like Article 324, the things like that came into existence only much later. We then had election commission. Then the rules were passed corresponding to, I mean, laws were passed corresponding to how elections were conducted. What was that law? How elections were to be conducted?
The Representation of People's Act. 51, 50
and 51.
50, yeah, correct. 50 and 51. So only after these things, I mean, Constitution came into being, and then Representation of People's Act came into being, and only after that the elections happened, and then the first Lok Sabha was created. The duration is actually from 52 to 55. Okay, sorry, 52 to 57. 5 years. 5 years is the term of Lok Sabha, right? Like 52 to 57 is the first Lok Sabha. So this is the term, first Lok Sabha. Now, when you hear the first Lok Sabha, imagine in your mind what can be the duration, term of the first Lok Sabha when it was created. Now with just this, if you have this much pre-existing knowledge base, you will be having some idea. I mean, even if you are not clear of the exact date, you will be having some idea, like it will be something like 52, 57 or 51, 56. You know something like that. But when we look at the second statement, it's mentioned that in Lok Sabha, leader of opposition was recognized for the first time in 1969. But now let's look at the Swatandhra Party. Was Swatandhra Party part of India's freedom struggle? Have when you studied Indian history for freedom struggle, did you ever come across Swatandhra Party?
No, sir.
We came across Congress Socialist Party.
Correct. We came across the
Not Swatantra, sir. Oh, yes,
no,
sir.
not Swatandhra. So Swatandhra was a new party which came into existence after independence. Okay. The actual inception date of Swatandhra Party was 1959. Okay. And first Lok Sabha was 52 to 57. So these that itself makes the first statement wrong. But I tried to eliminate first statement you just using the pre-existing knowledge base of the year of the first Lok Sabha. I mean, if I have an aspirant, I will try to eliminate first option based on my vague idea regarding the inception date of Swatandhra Party and the first Lok Sabha. I know that Swatandhra Party is not connected with freedom struggle, so this was not at the time of 1942, 52 to 57. And first Lok Sabha also I have an idea, like based on my pre-existing knowledge base, this is not there. So I will eliminate first statement. If first statement is eliminated, then 1 and 3 can be eliminated, and D 1, 2, 3 also can be eliminated. Correct. So then only 2 and 3 will be there. And now let's look at the other statements. As I already mentioned in the previous class, we should be careful when we see numbers. Okay, here there is a number, here there is another number, but as I mentioned, like every statement with numbers may not be always wrong. Okay, in this case, this is actually a right statement. 2 is right and 3 is wrong. And what is the number here?
50.
So third statement, what is it?
50 or 55, sir?
It's 10%. What is that 10% code?
55.
545.
Oh, yes, sir.
10.
Yeah, it's the term is actually quorum, correct?
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So there is a 10% of the total strength of the house is what is needed to have a leader of opposition. With respect to Lok Sabha, it's 10% of 545. That is 54.5 or 55. Yeah. So the number 75 is wrong. Minimum 75. That statement is wrong, but this statement is correct. But the point here is that there are multiple takeaways from this question. First thing is that we try to solve using not just one IET. Different IETs were used using pre-existing knowledge base, the numbers, the contradicting statements. Different techniques were combined since we don't have a direct idea of this question. That's one thing. Second thing is that the concept of this question, the leader of opposition, that is the main topic of this question. But leader of opposition came into a controversy actually in 2014, but it became a question topic only in 2018. Okay, that's the thing you have to get into your head. And now, what is the answer? 2. Okay, everybody mentioned correctly in the chat itself. So answer, you got it. Answer is 2. Now let's look at the next technique. Technique 4. Look for unfamiliar answer choices. This is the fourth technique. Look for unfamiliar answer choices. Unfamiliar answer choices will be false in most cases. Is there any answer choices that are completely unfamiliar to? If you have diligently prepared for an exam, yet an answer choice seems to be completely foreign, then that choice is more likely to be incorrect. So this is something which I want you to understand. Okay, trust yourself, trust your preparation, have confidence in your preparation. If you have diligently prepared for 1 year and still if you find any answer choice as totally foreign, totally strange, don't think that you are underprepared, but think that that answer can be false. Okay, trust your preparation. That's the fourth IET.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, this is the question, and try to find the answer.
Sure. Option A,
The
sir.
point here is that if you see any strange options, don't think that,
Yes, sir.
oh, I haven't covered that particular topic, that's why such a phrase is there. So that can be an answer. Don't get into such a kind of mentality. Always think that uh, uh, the answer should be somewhere in the area you have studied. Okay, just try to connect it with your knowledge level. Then try to find the answer. So this is also a question we have already seen in the classes. Same question are coming again and again, but we are trying to see a different light of that. That's it. So, which is the answer?
Option A, sir.
Option A. So, my point is that in this question, which of the following is the correct relationship between rights and duties? So, rights and duties are something that we have studied with respect to Indian polity, fundamental rights and fundamental duties. We have seen in polity.
Yes,
But
sir.
this question. So, let's look at the other options, and it says that D says that duties, not rights, are important for the stability of the states.
Totally,
Have
it's
Yeah. Have you ever found such a statement in Lakshmikant? Duties
No,
are
sir.
important for the stability
No,
of
sir.
the state and
No, sir.
rights
No.
are not important. Correct. We have never seen, having studied Lakshmikant for last 1 year, we have never seen such a statement. So this is most likely to be wrong. Now let's look at option C. Rights, not duties, are important for the advancement of the personality of a citizen. Rights are important for the advancement, and not duties are important for the
No.
advancement of the
No,
personality of
sir.
a citizen. Have you ever seen such? That is
No,
also
no.
we have never
No.
come across that. Huh? Then rights are personal and hence independent of societies and duties. Have you ever
No.
seen? No, nothing. But this is again we may not have come across the same phrasing. Huh? Rights are correlative with duties, but what I always say is that we have seen that rights and duties are same side, two sides of the same coin. So if there is a rights, there are duties. Okay, both are dependent. If there is a right, there are duties to do. Correct. This idea you already know, and this is what is mentioned in a different way with respect to statement one. Rights are correlative with duties. So that itself is the clue. Okay. So when you see strange answer statements, don't think that is right. Just trust your method of trust your preparation and knowledge and mark it. And A is the right answer. Okay. When now this question, having seen this question multiple times, it's very easy to you. But when it was asked in 2017, most of it marked it in the wrong way. Okay. So everybody got it confused. Like, what is this statement? They marked different options. But now you know it because that it's multiple times repeated multiple times. But the technique here is that don't be confused when you see a strange option. Okay. Now let's look at IET 5. Do you need a break or shall I continue?
So please continue.
Okay. Thanks.
Continue.
Okay. So yeah, now let's look at technique number 5. Look for opposite answer choices. That's the technique number 5. Opposite answer choices. Look for opposite answer choices. One of them can be the right answer. We have already, I have already mentioned this while doing in the initial classes itself. We were, even in the Sondra Party question also, we have used this. We look for contradictory statements, correct? So this is something connected with this IET 5. Look for opposite answer choices. You can do this to improve your odds of answering the question correctly, is to look for answer choices that are completely opposite to one another. Okay. Often one of the answers is going to be correct. Let's look at an example. The technique, all of you can note it down. Look for opposite answer choices. This is a very useful technique. Okay. This may not be, given popularity among, this may not have such popularity among aspirants, but not with ClearIAS users like you. This has a lot of application. With many questions, you will see the application of this. Opposite answer choices or contradictory answer choices. Now let's look at a question from 2013. Question on bank rate. An increase in bank rate generally indicates that a market rate of interest is likely to fall. Central bank is no longer making loans to commercial banks. Central bank is following an easy money policy. Central bank is following a tight money policy. Which are the opposite statements or which are the contradictory statements?
C and D options.
C and D are contradictory, right? So
Yes, sir.
these are contradictory to each other.
Easy money policy, tight money policy.
Tight money policy, correct. So only one can be right. Usually, if you see any such statements, usually only one can be right. One can be right, one can be wrong. So now we have narrowed down this question from a 0E question to a 2E question. Like from 25% chance, we have increased our odds of answering right to 50-50. Correct. Now you have to take a chance. If you know the answer, you can try to find the answer and write it. Otherwise, still, if you're not sure, also take a chance and mark it. Any of this, either easy or tight, you mark it. You have 50% chance of getting it correct. But now let's see whether we are able to find the answer. Also, you have already attended class of Shemil Sir, economic class yesterday, correct? So you should be knowing.
Yes, sir.
Bank rate generally indicates that increase in bank rate. If bank rate is increasing, so I shall explain my own. Okay, let me initially look at the chat and then I will explain. Most of you are getting it correct. Okay, yeah, most of you are getting it correct. Good, good. I shall explain the logic also, so you will be able to easily follow it. If a bank rate is increased, what will happen to the interest rate?
So it will make credit costlier for the banks.
Correct. If bank rate is increased, that means interest rate will be higher. That means the interest of borrowing will be higher. I mean, if credit rate or interest rate for borrowings, loan rate, then will go high. Okay. If loans are becoming costlier, what does that mean? Central bank is loans are costly means loans are difficult to get because rates are high. Correct. So it's not easy to take a loan because the loan rate is very high. So in that case, central bank is following an easy money policy or tight money policy.
So they don't wish to flow. They don't wish the money to flow in the economies. They are restricting the flow.
Exactly. So the answer is actually tight, right? So
yes,
this tight. So that's it. So just using common sense, a basic understanding of economics, we are able to find the right answer. But even before that, also we have eliminated the two options. We narrowed down into the two contradictory
50%.
Yeah, that's correct. So that's the case here. Now we have in the fifth technique we have looked at the opposite choices. Okay. Now in the sixth technique we are looking at the lookalike answer choices. We are just looking at the similar or lookalike answer choices. Okay, that is another technique. Okay. Look for lookalike choices. One of them can be the answer. Very simple. Conventional wisdom often dictates that if two answers look alike but slightly different, one of the two choices is probably correct. Okay, this is a easy technique. Probably these kind of techniques you may not see anywhere else. Okay, this is something you will see only on ClearIAS, and this is the technique. Let's look at a next state question. UPSC question on ELISA project 2017. What is the purpose of evolved laser interferometer space antenna project? To detect neutrinos, to detect gravitational waves, to detect effectiveness of missile defense system, to study the effect of solar flares on our communication systems. And one thing which I would like to tell you is that these are not statement-based questions. These are direct questions, but still, even the direct questions we are solving using IETs. Okay, I said that the application of IETs is more with statement-based questions, but even without statement-based questions also we are solving it. For example, INDARC is a direct question. We solved it using IET. And the previous question also, the contradictory statements, that is also direct question. We solved it using IET. So the application of IET is actually for both the direct questions as well as the statements. But statements, it find more application. That's it. Now, try to apply IET number 6. Similar lookalike answer. Which are the statements which are similar?
A, B, C.
A, B, C are similar.
The missile defense is absolutely different among the four.
That's correct. But now let's try. I mean, there are different techniques for every question. Okay, different IETs can be applied. But to help you study this particular technique, let's focus on the lookalike choices. Okay, we have the word to detect in three statements.
Yes.
So these are kind of lookalike. These are kind of similar. I mean, one is to detect neutrinos.
Yeah, sir, in fact, D is quite far. D is also quite far after removing C. D also can be removed. And neutrinos and gravitational waves are quite, related one.
Yeah, correct. I'm coming to that. I'm coming to that. That's good. You are able to connect that. But now let's look at the three statements which are quite similar. So A, B, C are similar, and D is something not that. I mean, the phrasing wise, it's not that connected. So let's eliminate D initially, and now let's focus to A, B, C, A, B, and C. A says to detect neutrinos, B says to detect gravitational waves, and C says to detect effectiveness of missile defense system. Okay. So first thing, what are the clues? You can say that before I explain everything. You can say your thoughts on this, and then I will explain.
So the statement effectiveness of missile defense system has some absurdity in it, because we could devise a missile defense system, but creating a system to check its effectiveness is too much. So
that's
never
correct.
came across.
That's a very valid
Also,
point.
sir, missiles doesn't have anything to link with the space.
Excellent, Robin. That's correct. That's correct.
Yes.
So two valid points are raised. One is connected with the purpose of laser interferometer space antenna. Space is the keyword here there. And another thing that is Tobin connected that, and then the one which Jen said is also very much valid. The phrasing used is to detect. Okay, we cannot detect effectiveness. Okay, how can we detect effectiveness? We can measure effectiveness, or that is something. Detecting is something different. Like we can detect the presence of something, but we cannot detect effectiveness. That is absurd. I mean, that's what the term and uses. That it's absurd to use the term detect and effectiveness together. So that itself, if you are connecting it space and missile, then also you can eliminate this. Or also, if you can just think that this does not give a sense. I mean, this is not matching. The phrases used are not matching. That then also you can eliminate this. C can be eliminated. Correct. So now we are now in a 50-50 state, whether it's neutrinos or whether it's gravitational waves.
Sir, to detect neutrinos, they'll be keeping an ion calorimeter in underground, sir. I don't think they'll use any antenna for it. So maybe it's gravitational waves.
Correct. That's a valid point. I mean, we don't need a space antenna to detect neutrinos. There is a neutrino laboratory in India. I mean, in South India, there is a laboratory.
Yes.
Yeah, correct. So we have a neutrino laboratories in Earth. I mean, in South India itself, we have a neutrino laboratory. Then why we need a space antenna for that? So with that logic,
so there's even one in Antarctic, ice cube, something deep in the ice.
Okay, good. So with that, some knowledge. I mean, that needs some pre-existing knowledge to solve it. But the gravitational waves is the main point here, and this is something which was connected with current affairs. Okay, gravitational waves was in use at that time, and this is something connected. But see, science and technology questions, most of the technology questions will be somehow connected with current affairs. Okay, this is the area where you need to give stress with respect to current affairs for prelims. Okay, for mains, the current affairs can be social issue based, but prelims. With respect to science and technology, look at the current technology part. Okay, this was in news at that time, so that's why question came. And when you are appearing for 2021, the current affairs that you should be focusing is basically on the technology part. Also, international relations also is important, and so schemes and things like that is also important. But science and technology, a must read. Current affairs, the focus of current affairs should be with respect to science and technology. Don't read random current affairs. Okay, you will not anyway finish it. Do focus study, do smart study, and science and technology part of current affairs, technology part particularly, give focus to. Okay, so this is the answer. These are the three lookalike statements, and out of that we removed the wrong statements and arrived at the correct statement. So 6 techniques. Everybody clear? Correct? Everybody comfortable?
Yes, sir.
Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Cool. So now let's look at the 7th technique. This is another easy technique. Look for the middle value in case of numerical options. Technique 7. If a question presents a series of numerical answers and you are unable to, it's not eliminate, it's eliminate, unable to eliminate any of the possible choices with any certainty, a good rule of thumb is to throw out the lowest and highest possible values. Even though this method does not always work, correct answer is always the mid-range value. Let's see an example. Question: if you travel by road from Kohima to Kottayam, what is the minimum number of states within India through which you can travel, including the origin and destination? By knowledge, you can maybe, if you have time, and you can try to visualize the states from Kohima to Kottayam. Where is Kohima?
Nagaland, sir.
Nagaland.
There is Kottayam.
So perhaps a student of booster program might do this after the exam.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, correct. And it takes some time to visualize this. Not an easy question. I mean, you have to count the states and you have to a good
Sir,
idea.
You live in Kottayam, sir. Kottayam area, because it's Kerala.
Where is Kottayam?
Kerala, sir.
Kerala. Okay, but Kottayam is not. I mean, from the pan India perspective, Kottayam, I'm not sure whether everybody knows it. Kochi, Trivandrum, you might be knowing, but Kottayam is not a city in that sense. Okay. But still, that is asked in maybe UPSC just try to connect K and K, and they connected it Kohima and Kottayam. So in that sense, if this is totally alien to you, what you can do, you can find the middle value among the options. What are the options? 6, 7, 8, and 9. So what is the middle value?
7.
Middle value 7.
What are the options you can anyway eliminate?
6 and 9 can be eliminated.
Yeah, 6 and 9 can be eliminated. Now, from a 25% chance of being correct, you are at least now in 50-50 chance, correct? Take a risk and mark. Okay.
It's like my rule, sir. I told B will. I preferred like that, sir. Like which I preferred B.
Oh, alpha B is the preferred alphabet. But in that case, I mean, luck favors the bold. That's the code, correct? So in that way, you will be getting a right. You'll be getting 2 marks for this bold attempt. What is the answer, everybody?
7.
Answer is B, actually. Answer is B. That's correct. So, but what I did is that technique is actually to look for the middle value in case of numerical options. And the answer, the correct answer is B. 7. That's correct. I mean, I have checked the chat and many of you are already marking it correct. And I'm really glad that all of you are getting. And one thing which I am concerned is that in every chat, I see participation from, I mean, same participants are participating in the chat, and even in our Telegram group also, some of you are always commenting and giving feedback. I am worried about others in the sense that, are you remaining silent because you already know the answer and able to follow up, or are you silent because you are finding it difficult? If that is the case, if you're finding the techniques or strategies or anything is difficult, don't lose heart. Feel free to write to me. Okay, you can write to contact us at clearias.com. I shall personally look the chats, emails of aspirants who are from this particular community, because I consider all of you very close to my heart. And so even if any of you are not coming repeatedly, I will try to follow up. Okay, because I take the direct responsibility of all of you. So in that sense, what I would like to tell you is that if any of you are finding difficult to follow up or not able to get marks, if you are low, because this is COVID time, like you are all preparing alone in your home, and if you need any support, guidance, or if you need further hand holding, you can definitely write to me. I shall try to help in any way possible with respect to me. Okay.
Sir, I wish to tell that from you I got the call also, sir. I did not attend the 3 to 40 classes. You personally contacted and asked, sir. Literally, I was shocked, sir. Because a teacher following a student is very rare, sir. Nowadays, not literally followed and asked me. Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, that's okay, Radhakrishnan. Yeah, that's what we want. I mean, Radhakrishnan was a very smart aspirant. So why I followed Radhakrishnan is because his presence was totally felt. I mean, his absence was felt. So I connected. But other aspirants, since you are not that active, if you are not coming, also you may get unnoticed. Okay. So try to be active and participate. So and make your presence felt. Okay, good. Now let's technique number 8. Technique number 8 is a part by part true or false test. This is also I have partially discussed in this previous classes. The idea of this particular technique is that if any part of an answer choice is false, then the entire answer choice can be eliminated as wrong. With respect to UPSC, there is nothing like partially correct. If any part of a statement is wrong, the entire statement is wrong. That's the technique here. So to apply this technique, all you have to do is to see if there is any scope of any part in that particular statement being wrong. I shall explain once again. Technique number 8 is part by part true or false test. So another great strategy to use, what I like to call is a true or false test. The basic idea is that if any part of the potential answer is false, then the entire answer is incorrect. Let's take this question. I think this is an example which I have mentioned in as open in ClearIAS.com as well. Among the initial 10 techniques, this example was given. Okay, try to find the answer. Getting answers. Pavan Sandhya, I am seeing you active in the chat, text chat. Do you have, I mean, you are just preferring to remain silent, or do you have some issues with the mic? Why are you not using the voice option?
No, sir, I'm fine with mic option also.
Okay, great. Okay. Yeah, because you are also an active participant in my previous sessions. So that's why I just thought of connecting.
Sir,
And, yeah.
Sir, I think the first statement, it's based on, I know the answer, but I'm using elimination techniques, sir.
Okay.
And the first statement...
By knowledge itself, you are knowing, yeah?
Yes, sir. Anyway, I read it, sir, in an editorial, sir.
Oh, but that's a surprising thing. But yeah, which statement you are eliminating?
The first statement, sir.
Why the statement is wrong?
Because the year given is wrong, sir. It's not 2015, it's 2008, sir.
Yeah, that is the main thing. There is a year, there is a number here. So we, as I already mentioned, when you see a number, be cautious, double check whether that number is correct. So this number is actually wrong. Okay, this number is wrong, but this is a partially correct statement. Okay, under the chairmanship of the Indian Navy is correct, but this year is wrong. Okay, so here this part is wrong, this part is correct. So even if there is nothing like partially correct with respect to UPSC, if in any statement there is, it's a partially wrong, it's fully wrong. Okay, if partially correct, also fully wrong. Okay, so that's the point here. So this is wrong, and second statement is correct, and the answer is actually B, 2 only. Now 2 only. Most of you have mentioned correctly in the chat. That's good. But now let's look at it in another perspective. The year of the question is 2017, and the year mentioned is 2015. Okay. And do you know the right year here? The year is the
2008.
Yeah, the correct year is 2008.
My God, so much back difference.
Yeah, this is too much. 2008, and now let's look at the topic. What is the topic? Consider the following with respect to Indian Ocean Naval Symposium, IONS. This is not a topic with respect to history. This is not a topic with respect to geography, not with respect to economy, not with respect to polity, science and technology, environment, nothing. Like in which area this can be clubbed?
The defense exercises section, like it's in the miscellaneous, mostly last page.
Internal security, sir.
Internal security. What internal security is not a prelim syllabus, right? With respect to prelims, we have
that is true.
The events of national and international importance, maybe.
Yeah, correct. That's correct, Jan. Yeah, with respect to prelim syllabus, we have only 7 areas, and that 7th area is actually current affairs. But UPSC mentioned it as events of national and international importance. That's the topic. Okay, so basically this can be clubbed only with current affairs, and current affairs includes events of national and international importance. So in that it will be coming. So it's a current affairs question. That's my point. This is only, if we are preparing it only from current affairs. So, but this is a question in current affairs in 2017. And it's the question, but the question is asked about the inaugural IONS. And
Yes,
the
sir.
inaugural IONS is
Sir,
something that
sir, can I make a point here?
yeah, sure, please.
So I think like the statement one has two numerical values. The inaugural is also a numerical value in a way, which is
Correct.
like demands us more caution, I guess, apart from 2015.
Correct. So IONS might be held in 2017 as well, but the statement here is that it was connected with the inaugural IONS, which was actually happened 9 years back. Okay, so when you read current affairs, try to basically always look at the. When you read current affairs, don't just stick to last 1 year. That's one main point. But you can. It's not easy to go for the last 9 years current affairs just for prelims. Okay, that is also not a good return on his investment. That is not smart work, and that is not advisable also. So with respect to this thing is the only, practically I'm saying that the only thing which will apply here is the IET. Just using the number, you can eliminate it. You cannot read like the last 9 years with respect to this. But if you are so particular that you need to follow a knowledge-oriented approach, what you can do is that when you see anything connected with the events of national and international importance, see at least look at first or second sessions of that, and try to see which year and in which country, which city that happened. Okay, with respect to anything, with respect to BRICS summit, with respect to any such international groupings, see that may be a current thing there, but look when the first session actually happened. That is something you can look at. Okay, that is something which I would like to give as an advice with respect to the current affairs. Okay, so
Sir?
now yeah.
Sir, actually, I didn't get Janta's point, like numerical value to inaugural session. I mean, can you please elaborate, Jant, little bit?
I was just saying that like inaugural means like first IONS session, right? So if they take the first summit or second summit, which sir is also highlighting.
Okay, all right.
So it might be like IONS took place somewhere, but it was not the first. Maybe like that's the
I
point.
specifically mentioned at the inaugural IONS. We need to be a little bit focused.
Instead of inaugural, if the term first was used, you might be probably able to connect better. If first IONS was held in India in 2000, that first itself is a number. That's what the Jain
Yeah,
mentioned.
that's right. Yeah, that's right, Jan. Thank you.
And this technique, ninth technique, now we're into the ninth technique, and this is a technique which you already know, but instead of the word, you will be already knowing, like or eliminate extreme statements. Okay, but what are the statements that can be considered extreme? Okay, that is another thing. But now let's break that thing which you consider as extreme, and let's be much more focused with this. Ninth technique is that be careful with generalized statements with always. In one of my classes, I have already told that one who generalizes generally lies. Okay, this is a statement. Okay, be always.
Election speeches.
Yeah, keep that in your mind. Whenever you say a statement that you feel that that's a too much generalization in that, with the use of the word always, be cautious. That statement can be a wrong statement. Okay. I am repeating it. Generalized statements with always reflect that an answer choice would apply regardless of the situation. Answers containing words like always are typically incorrect. The tip is that one who generalizes generally lies. So when you this is actually applicable with respect to your mains answers also. When you write mains answers, when as a mentor, when I have evaluated many mains answers written by aspirants, one mistake I see is that they make these kind of generalizations with respect to mains answers, which are most likely to be untrue, false. In interview also, some aspirants come with these kind of generalizations, which should be avoided. And if UPSC itself is coming with generalizations with always, there is more likely chance that that can be false. Yeah, Pragati. So now let's look at it. This is the question from 2011. India maintained its early cultural contacts and trade links with Southeast Asia across Bay of Bengal. For this preeminence of the early maritime history of Bay of Bengal, which of the following could be the most convincing explanations and explanations? As compared to other countries, India had a better shipbuilding technology in ancient and medieval times. The rulers of southern India always patronized traders, Brahmin priests, and Buddhist monks in this context. Monsoon winds across Bay of Bengal facilitated sea voyage. Have you discussed this question before in any of my classes?
No, sir.
No, this is first
No,
time.
sir.
Okay. So,
Yeah.
fine.
Sir, here B is extreme, sir.
So, which is the? I'm not using the word extreme here. I'm using the word generalization. Okay.
So it's a very wide.
Yeah, generalization using the term always. That is the focus here. Okay. Look for the statement with always. Which is the statement with always here?
Statement B.
Statement B is the word with always. Okay. And now let's see if there's too much generalization there. Rulers of southern India always patronized traders, Brahmin priests, and Buddhist monks in this context. So that is the statement that says that this statement. I mean, if a statement is put like that, that should stand across both which one cultural contacts or preeminence maritime history. Preeminence, okay. Okay, this is actually with ancient and medieval. Okay. So early maritime history of Bay of Bengal. That is the context here. Preeminence of early maritime history of Bay of Bengal. And rulers of southern India always patronized. Every ruler of southern India. The statement is something like this: every ruler of southern India always patronized traders, Brahmin priests, and Buddhist monks. And this itself is actually contradictory, right? Buddhist,
yes, sir. Yes,
certain
sir.
rulers might have affinity towards Brahmins, certain rulers might be having affinity towards Buddhist monks. But this says that every ruler of southern India always patronized traders, Brahmin priests. So that's a too much of generalization, which is a very rare chance for that to be correct. Correct. So B can be eliminated. If B can be eliminated, B also be eliminated.
You're right, sir.
Correct. So now let's look at option A and C. Now let's see this. The technique is actually avoid generalizations or generalized statements using always. That is the technique here. But now let's look at A and C here. Yes. As compared to other countries, India had a better shipbuilding technology in ancient and medieval times.
Okay. Not in medieval. Till ancient, it's fine, but not in medieval.
In ancient times,
sir. It's although like. Sorry, you could carry on, sir. Sorry.
Yeah, that's okay.
I just wanted to like in ancient India, definitely we were, but even in the medieval, there were some patches where we were really good. Although with the arrival of Portuguese, eventually we lost the ground, but there were instances where we were a formidable force.
I mean, the question is actually about the better shipbuilding, not with respect to the. But in ancient India, do you have any instances whether we have better shipbuilding?
Yes, Chola.
Yes, sir, Chola definitely.
Chola were good in. Yeah, that's correct. That's a point. They might be having good ships as well to an extent. But we cannot. But that is also, I mean, regarding the quality of the ships and things like that, we are yet to get. But we cannot. I mean, that is also something like a too much generalization. But definitely not with medieval. That's correct.
Yes, definitely.
Medieval, if that is the case, Indians would have reached European countries. Correct. Like Vasco da Gama came to India, but not any Indian Portuguese.
True.
Have you ever?
Point to be noted.
And we had many restrictions, like in India, like going into the seas and some things like that. These were prohibited. Right? Like
forbidden. Yes, sir.
Forbidden.
So it's actually very much like we are pounding our chest too much that we know everything, like in the ancient and medieval. This is something that's such kind of a statement. Correct. It's also in that sense. It has also a less chance of being correct. Are you getting my point? A has very less chance.
Yes, sir.
This is too much of I'm boasting by Indians. Indians know that. So that is less likely to be correct. A is also wrong. At least UPSC in those years, I mean, never. This was not the official answer key as per UPSC. In 2011, the answer was actually C. C is the answer.
Okay.
Monsoon winds across the Bay of Bengal facilitated sea voyages. So now, how many techniques? So it's already past 8. So I think by 10 technique we shall stop today, and remaining techniques we deal another day.
Sure.
Another day. It may not be tomorrow. Tomorrow will be another faculty, but when I meet with you guys next time, we'll deal another techniques. But now let me look at the next technique. 10.
Sir,
yeah, of course.
a point to be considered. UPSC is actually a generalist exam, right? Civil servants are generalists, so isn't it a little wrong to say that all generalized statements would be wrong? Because most of the time, generalized statements, it's most of the time, I think they are they can be right or wrong. It could be anything actually.
No, we cannot. I mean, generalizations means generalization for the sake of generalization is wrong. Okay, so everything cannot be generalized. That is the case, correct? There can be always exceptions. Is that the case? Like everything, we cannot say like this statement which we have seen with respect to the rulers of southern India. Don't confuse it with the concept that UPSC prefers generalists. That is another thing. But statements cannot be made we cannot always generalize for the sake of generalizations. There will be always exceptions in most of the cases. So
yeah, okay.
With respect to UPSC, this is one point which I have repeated in the initial classes also. UPSC somehow have to make certain statements wrong. Okay, that's really unfortunate with respect to UPSC but that they have to make certain statements wrong. It can be creating changing a number. It can be by altering the phrase meaning or creating an opposite context. Anything like they have to do something. Okay, so ultimately they have to make certain statements wrong. And one way they are making statement wrong is by bringing the generalizations that is not applicable. Okay, so don't confuse it with the generalized. They take aspirants for the generalized service. That's one thing. This is another. But even as a IAS officer also, when you are in service also, don't generalize. Okay, we cannot do that. There are always differences among Indians. There are special cases. There are exemptions. So being an administrative service officer also, even though you are taken as a generalist, you are not supposed to generalize. Okay, the one who generalizes generally lies. Okay, that's the point.
Sir, I have can I quote share a quote here?
Okay.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah, very
sir, there was an article. I was reading an article on BBC. So there's a British historian, economist. Sorry. So he said that he talked about how contradictions exist in India and how it's difficult to generalize. So he said that whatever you say about India, the opposite also exists.
Correct. It is that's a unity in diversity. That's what we say, right? Like we have unity, but diversity. It's not. We are a pluralistic society, so we have many differences. But diversity is there, so it's not easy to generalize. That is something that is trying to adopt to make India something like a single brand or one India. Something that propaganda is there, but that is not actually true. It's not easy because we are a pluralistic society. So let's understand and take it like that. India is a pluralistic society, so there are differences, but still there is unity among us. But the case is that when we see when in the perspective of UPSC prelims, mains, or interview, be careful when you see generalizations. That's it. Yeah, that's now let's another kind of generalization. We have seen a generalization with respect to always. Now we are seeing a generalization with respect to never. Okay, so I'm using these statements. Generalization is the statement which I'm using. Extreme is something which we consider later. Okay, now let's look at the generalization using the word never. Generalized statements with never reflect an answer choice would apply regardless of the situation. Never contains answer containing words like never are typically incorrect. Tip is that one who generalizes. Same tip here in both statements. One using always The next is using never. And now let's look at a statement. People of India agitated against the arrival of Simon Commission because. Now let's look at which statement we can eliminate because of the generalization using the keyword never. Which is statement A. Statement A has word never, and now let's look at that statement again. Indians never wanted the review of the working of the Act 1919. So this is a statement, and that's a too much of generalization. Correct. Indians never wanted, and no Indians wanted, or it's not. It's something like Indians never wanted. Usually, every act, whenever act, whether that's an act in 1919 or whether that's an act in 2021, there will be definitely people who will be want that act to be reviewed. Correct. Even when Citizenship Amendment Act is passed or Farmers Act is passed, we want that to be reviewed.
Right.
So this is a statement which is generalization in the opposite direction. Indians never wanted the review of the working of the Act of 1990. So is that statement correct?
No, sir.
No, we should eliminate that better.
It can be eliminated. Now, from 25% chance, you are now in 33% chance. Correct. So that itself will give you better chance of. Your chance now increased. So then you can go for marking any of these. So now let's look at it. Now try to solve it using pre-existing knowledge. Option D. Simon Commission suggested the partition of the country. What is the date of Simon Commission?
1927.
1927. Partition of the country is something that was in when was India partition? That was in 1947.
47.
But the talk of partition happened only in the 1940s. Correct. In the class of Matthew sir, he discussed about the Cripps mission. Correct. Like then
Yes,
he
sir.
explained when the talk of the partition.
The turbulent 40s.
40s, correct. Exactly. So that talk happened only from the 1940s. So 1940s, 27. There was no such talk about the partition of India. Okay. There was no thought at all in 1927. So this can also be eliminated. Correct. So now we are in 50-50 chance. So now let's look at Simon Commission recommended the abolition of diarchy in provinces. So was this a recommendation? I mean, this needs some knowledge. This is not easy. And don't mark this as wrong, seeing and no. Okay. So this is different. This is actually the right statement is actually C. So, the agitation against Simon Commission was just because there was no Indian member in the Simon Commission. This is the correct statement. Okay. You might have read about the slogans at that time, like Simon go back.
Yes, go Simon back. Yes.
Correct. So that was all because there was no Indian member. That was the case, but at least you are able to reach up to 50% level with certain techniques. That itself is a great. Your chance has increased. So that's the technique. I think we have come across 10 techniques. Before winding up today's class, let's try to revise. What was the first technique? First technique is to use common sense.
Common sense.
To have common sense. Yeah.
Common sense. What was the example we gave at that time? Using common sense, which was the common sense example?
It's a law and liberty wala question.
Right.
Yeah, correct. Law and liberty, correct, exactly. Yeah. First technique is to use common sense. Second technique used to find clues.
The nomenclature may clues in the nomenclature.
Find clues in the same question, like we discussed the example of indirect there. Then third technique, which was the third technique?
Pre-existing knowledge.
Pre-existing knowledge, which was connected with the Swadhantra Party question, correct? Swadhantra Party question, when we try to solve it in pre-existing knowledge. Then fourth technique.
Unfamiliar answer choices, mostly incorrect, there will be.
Even with all your knowledge, if you are able to...
so trusting our hard work here, I think, perhaps.
In that perspective, we have discussed the example of rights and duties question.
Right.
So, sorry, which was the fifth question?
Sir, opposite answer.
The contradictory opposite choices.
Answer choices. One of them may be right and one can be wrong, but you can narrow down your choices to the opposite answer choices. Or when you see opposite answer choices, one of them may be the right answer. That's the technique there. And next to us, the connecting with the lookalike similar answer choices. Correct.
Similar answer choices.
Similar also when you can narrow down to one of the lookalike answer choices.
Yes.
That was the next technique. And the other, what is the next technique?
Then numerical wala, middle value.
Middle value.
Yeah,
We can consider middle value.
When you have a list of numerical values, try to usually the middle value may be the answer. Okay.
Yeah, eliminate extreme one. Okay.
Correct. Then
generalized statement with never and always. We have to consider them wrong, mostly wrong.
Correct. So that's it. 10 techniques. These were the techniques.
So one left was like partly true, like part by part technique.
Correct. If any statement is partly true, or I mean partly wrong means fully wrong. That's the we in that perspective we have discussed the example of IONS. The year was wrong, but the second part was correct, but that we marked it as wrong. So these are the 10 initial techniques. We will see 10 other techniques in the coming class, and there is a disclaimer also. These techniques will work in 80 or 90% questions, okay, but in 10% questions it may not work. So be careful with that, but that's okay. But you can even go wrong in 30 questions, correct? So even if you go wrong, you treat it in that sense. But look at the merit you get. I mean, what is the positive you are getting? That's why I ask you to follow the 3210E method also. Because every time after prelims, aspirants come out of the exam hall and say that they complain. I took some risk and I marked it wrong. But they and because they got some negative marks, they will only project that. They will say that I lost these marks because I took some risk and I marked it. I should not have done that. But they are totally silent about the marks they got by taking risk. That part is totally something they omit. But to understand that how much marks you are getting by taking risk, I asked you to prepare a chart using the data. Then prepare a chart. Then you will see that how much marks you are actually getting by taking risk on the 2E, 1E, and 0E questions. How much marks you are actually gaining? Usually, it will be only net positive marks. Okay.
So it's more or less like an incremental growth, like incremental increase in the probability of answering the question correct. So like 25% to 50%. So we are making small jumps across the paper, and when the sum total comes up, it's the score is quite different.
When you see it in the full paper, and in actual UPSC, the scope of this is actually really high. I mean, we are only taking examples from previous UPSC question papers, and we see that there is a big scope of applying in all years. I mean, not just 1 year. We are taking examples from 2011 to 2019 or 2020 also, and we are seeing that the scope is definitely there. Like we can apply and try to solve it. So you will definitely see an incremental jump in even while solving mock exams also you will see it, but in actual UPSC definitely you will be seeing. Are you able to touch 100 plus marks now in mocks? I mean, most of you at least able to get more than 100.
So as you told, I'm aiming to get 70 correct. So I'm somewhere hovering around at the moment near like 96 at times, at 97, and that's like some questions go wrong at times, but the target is to get 70 right anyhow.
Able to get some 60 questions or correct? Like
yes, sir. Like 59. Last mock I did, I got 59 correct.
Okay.
And 3-4 were silly mistakes of mine. Like I accept those mistakes.
Yeah, that is something.
Yesterday I saw. Sorry to interrupt. Yesterday I saw my result in Mission IS open mock test. I got 108. Sir.
Oh, great.
Open mock test. Yes, 108.
That's good.
Thank you all because of you only all these techniques and all. Everything is really clear.
Thanks a lot, Radharshan, for the compliment. And the case is that having learned 10 techniques, and if you start applying it on mocks, you will definitely see improvement. But don't worry if you are not seeing improvement on mocks, because every mock exams you may not find application of IETs in mock exams. Okay, because that's the difference between actual UPSC and mock exam. So those who set mock exams, even though they say that it's a mock of actual UPSC or a model of UPSC, it's in reality it may not be a mock of actual UPSC. So there can be variations, and you find very little scope of
Only
applying.
5 to 6 questions were.
So, but I have observed one thing, sir. Like before learning these techniques, when I used to analyze my mock exams, there was like it was a like, sort of a dead exercise, not learning much. But now, at times, what happens is when I'm analyzing those questions, I sort of devise a technique like this could have been done here. So I could have like it was within the reach because of some technique or something working there. So that exercise is also much more fruitful than before.
Yeah, the process is actually much more important than the results. You might be getting only 70 marks even now or 60 marks even now. That does not that's okay. But make sure you are adopting the right process. If you are adopting the right process, definitely you are in the right track. You have this scope of improvement. You will definitely improve in the coming days. You will improve. But if your process itself is wrong, it's really hard to get prelims clear. Okay, but it's good to know that you are all following the right process. Please do that. In the coming days you can improve. And also the as Jen said, analysis of the mock exams is much more important than taking it. Once you take the mock exams, don't close everything. Try to analyze, try to find how many 3 questions you have answered, how many 2E questions you have answered, how many 1E answered, how many 0E. What is the total number of questions you are able to correctly answer? Are you touching the 70 number? The number which I gave is 70. But are you in the 50s? Are you in the 40s or 60s, 70? Are you or above 70 already? Where are you standing? And what are the areas that need to be covered to increase that score? That is something that we need to give focus. And the whole area of the ClearIAS Prelims Marks Booster program is that we are not dealing with the traditional areas. Our approach itself is new, and also we are not focusing on the traditional areas with an assumption that anyway you might be covered that already, or with any platforms or any coaching institute, they only focus on the traditional areas. So that part is already there. If questions are coming from only traditional areas, you know it. But there is again a big gap. I mean, looking at the previous year cutoff, anyway, that is how I started the first class also. The cutoff is only 100. Why it's not 150 or 170 in an objective exam? Because there are gaps in the way aspirants prepare. So there are certain areas that are not given enough stress by aspirants with respect to the knowledge part itself. So we have found out such areas. One area was acts enacted by the parliament. Another area was agriculture. Another area was biodiversity. Certain areas which, if we focus with the right mentality, that itself will increase the marks using the knowledge part. But along with that, if you apply the technique part, the marks will be really huge. I mean, that's what I mentioned in the chat also in the last time. I won't be surprised in the actual prelims if many in our group scoring above 150. That is also possible. I have a friend of mine who is now in service. He got 175 marks in prelims. 175 out of 200 general studies paper 1. Okay, so he might be all India topper. I have never seen any mark like 175 in prelims. Usually
huge marks.
Yeah, huge mark. So
people in forest services usually score like 140 plus. It's normal for them.
Yeah, correct. That's correct. So that is possible. That is possible only if you follow this. Otherwise, it'll be really hard. But with this method, I mean, questions can come in any direction, but you are well prepared for that. It can be bouncers, it can be full toes, it can be half volleys, anything, but you can. I mean, you will be able to ready to score it. So that's and also
that's when we need to be ready to bat any ball.
Also, we are focusing in an exam-oriented manner. I mean, we are directly solving questions in this. We are not teaching. I mean, we stop teaching subjects, right? I mean, we are directly what is happening in the exam, that is replicated here in the classes also. So it's very much connected. And if you follow this practice and adopt the follow the same thing, it will be helpful. I mean, you might be surprised. I mean, aspirants who join for 2020 program, they are also coming to sit. I mean, they have additionally paid for the 2021 program, even though they are not appearing for 2021 prelims and they are attending classes. So that's the commitment by many aspirants. We have aspirants who join for both programs. Okay, even though they are not appearing for 2021, but they're still coming to learn at an early stage these techniques and the prelims mark boosting techniques. So we have such aspirants. So I really value all of your commitment and the understanding and the I mean the understanding among the group and understanding among ourselves. We are a very small group, but still I'm very happy to teach you. I mean, that's a comment by all the faculties taken so far. They are all very happy.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. So I've also realized that the learning which I got from the peer group. For example, I'll give you a small example here. That there was a question once we were discussing about the national biofuel policy and the raw materials to be used in that, and Radhakrishnan simply said that we wouldn't be using groundnut, that oil. So like at
Yes,
that moment
sir.
I thought, what is, like, it's a silly thing. How could he think of that? But later on I realized, it was, yes, it was a silly thing, but it should have come to my mind also that it was a prized product and could not be used for biofuels that easily compared to rotten materials. So, like,
Yeah.
thanks to like a lot of people like him who
That peer
contribute and
learning is
come up with
actually much
simple
more.
logic.
Yeah, correct. That's a very valid point, Jan. I think that's why we encourage the voice chat option, because we are getting that peer learning, and that is really valuable.
And
Also,
anywhere it is not like this available, sir. I'm openly telling, sir. We cannot peer learning that in online class. Only chat based. It's only that, sir. This is the first time I'm seeing peer this open way of talking and learning, sir. Really able to
So,
learn
like,
new
Vaibhavi
things.
that day, someday said, like, Tasso is a Ladakhi name, so it's, of course, it's on higher altitude compared to Harike. And yes,
Yes, sir.
it works. It that's how it works, right? Common sense is not very common, I guess, perhaps.
and
Yeah.
faculties also in our platform, they encourage participants to speak up. But in some platforms, faculties who are not that
Yes, sir.
confident or that are not that expert in the subject, and they may not encourage aspirants to talk. It might disturb them, distract them from the main topic.
Mainly
But
they
in our
keep
platform,
chat-based features, sir. Not to make aspirants speak and not.
Every teacher is comfortable with being like disrupted at moments. Like, we disrupt you a lot, but you still take it
Yes,
very
sir.
nicely. Yeah, it's
Beyond
such a
We
virtue to
again
have.
and again disturb you, sir. That is, you're making so much mess, sir, literally. But you're tolerating us, sir.
but we like that. We like it that way. That's what we think that will help you in ultimate. Only if you actively participate, that will help. I'm glad that you are all taking it in positive sense. Okay. See you with another class tomorrow.
Sir, I'll just take one more minute, sir.
Okay, please.
Sir, I just wanted to ask you, might be the silly thing, but still, generally we say that extreme sentences to be avoided, right? So the 9th and 10th IET which we took now, so that's it. That is generalized statement with always and never. So can we club it into the extreme sentences?
Extreme, we are, in the next techniques, correct? 10 to 20. In that, what are really extreme?
All right. So this may not be that extreme, right? The extreme by your means will be quite, the truly extreme, and these are not, right?
Yeah. In extreme, there will be something, certain other words like drastically, enormously.
I see.
Those are the things which I consider as extreme, and this is something part of a generalization.
Okay.
So that's how I see it. I see these always and never are part of certain generalizations, but extreme is something it's different. But that's definitely there. I will definitely take classes on that. And do you want more techniques? That's another thing which I want.
Yes, sir. Definitely want.
Definitely.
Definitely. No other thought.
So anything which helps us to clear this cutoff would be of great help.
And sir, this program name is also mark booster, score booster, sir. So anything, if you get more than 130, 140, it's literally good, sir.
Sir, Radhakrishnan has a great appetite. He is crossing a lot of benchmarks this time.
No, sir, I have a lot of faith in this program, sir. So only, sir.
So one we can do one thing. One thing is that in this session, my focus is to give an intro and then discuss the 10 techniques as such. So we discussed only one examples for each technique. Okay. But in the next classes, we continue with just one example with respect to techniques from 10 to 20. In the coming classes, when I come again, I shall try to come with much more examples for each of these techniques.
Okay, sir.
You'll also get much more confidence, and you will only when you practice the techniques again and again, you will be able to solve it. So
True.
Same theory part is the same, and the theory is the same. Technique 1, technique 2, something like that. But more examples can be taken, and that will also give confidence, and also more technique also. We'll see it, but keep it in a closed loop, and these sessions are actually closed. So keep your notes and things only close with you. Then otherwise, if it's available for everyone, we'll lose that edge.
Because after all, it's a competitive exam, sir. Everyone is going to face each other, sir.
Correct.
So there's a gentle reminder I would like to bring to your notice. Like you told me in this class number 6 to remind you later. If you could tell some of the important acts from your book, I raised that issue that day.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
That is something that will be taken care.
That's a good idea,
Okay.
sir.
And a few more announcements. One thing is that initially we were structuring all the classes with respect to prelims, marks booster, and a single head of mentorship. Okay, but now
Okay.
later, since we have more than 10 classes, I have structured it into different heads like Indian economy, Indian polity. We have a proper organization of classes as well. If you
Yes,
now
sir.
check the prelims marks booster page, you can see that all classes are organized under different subjects. Okay, that you can see. Later, you will be seeing more study materials in PDF format also added to the same classes. You will later see some useful PDFs also that along with the classes, you will see that. So even watching some of the videos, we will keep adding more PDFs to that page of ClearIAS Prelims Marks Booster.
That's great.
You will be getting.
Oh, thank you, sir. You're doing so much for us, sir.
Sir, but those PDF will be in closed loop or for our open source kind of.
Closed.
Okay, that's great. That's great. Yeah.
Only those who buy the program. So it will be closed.
Sure, sir.
So
Thank you, sir.
It was wonderful lecture, sir.
Great, sir.
Really great. Today's lecture was
any
wonderful.
other topic, anything you want to discuss, please let me know. We'll discuss. And towards the end days, we'll be, as Jen told, we'll be discussing on some of the acts from the book that needs to be revised. That will be taking part. And ecology and environment and science and technology also will be dealing towards the end. Current affairs will be starting probably this week itself.
That's an important current affair which might come this year.
Yeah, that will be starting. And anything else if you want anything to be discussed, please drop an email. Okay. Our program, as I told, our program is flexible, so your comments can also be taken care. So if you have anything that particular,
Sir, we can also message in Telegram also, sir.
That group also can be used to give the comments. After every class, if you can give the feedback, that will help me to understand which classes are going in the direction you are expecting and get an idea of the faculties. My personal opinion, I think almost all faculties are good and different from the kind of teaching you get in other platforms. But still, I want direct feedback from you. You can mention after every class in the Telegram group openly. If you want to message personally, you can use the support email.
Sure, sir. Sure.
That's fine.
Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you, sir. Good night.
Thanks,
Good night, all.
Thank you, sir.
Bye.
Bye, sir. Bye.
Good night, sir.
Good night.